Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexiot's here, and it is Thursday, and we have streak busted. That's right. Dun-dun-dun, 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 streak busters. That's right. Listen, wow. I didn't know that Pascal was going to do a 52 card pickup. Dang, man. Amazing. So much to talk about from that. Just really, really, what a way to end our slide. And what a way to, this is something that we did last year. We would take the energy of a winning streak for another team and we would inexplicably have it on us and we go streaking after that. I really hope that can happen with us. And don't think that it's not impossible. We really, really need to take each game by game. And now we can really look at a game against Cleveland on Friday and say, let's take this game one game at a time and let's focus on this next one and go get it. There's something very liberating and freeing about having a player like Pascal Siakam. Now, his performance last night in some ways may be matchup dependent, because the Knicks just don't do certain things right to guard him. And, in some ways, I don't know if he could do all the stuff he did last night against any old team. Some teams would very much scheme and figure out how to like triple or quadruple team him and stop him. But what he did last night was amazing. And especially on that stage, the names that he's on a list with now are very select and very incredible. He's on a list with like Will Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Bernard King. He's on a list with like some of the greatest scorers of all time. And it's actually very fitting that a legend like Bernard King was sitting at courtside for the game last night as a Knicks alum and seeing a great 50-point scoring performance by Pascal Siakam. Because in some ways, the parallels between Pascal Siakam and Bernard King are very strong. A very great scorer, a guy who scores a lot but does not get a lot of spotlight, does not get a lot of attention, does not get a lot of shine, like people like Dr. J, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. These kind of people were getting way more shine than Bernard King was back then. So in some ways, it's very poetic and very interesting that Siakam had this performance last night in front of such Knicks luminaries like Bernard King, Spike Lee, and Clyde Frazier, of course, who was calling the game. But just a fantastic game. I told y'all, don't underestimate the Knicks and how they can screw things up for themselves. We saw Julius Randle make or shoot a shot like 1 foot away from the basket and completely miss the rim. That play is going to be on Shaq and the Fool. I am sorry, Julius. When you go up like that and you miss that bad, you are literally the epitome in that motion and that movement of the Knicks fans' apathy and sadness. They see you go up and you are so close and you could just drop the ball in the basket and it is over here. I don't know how the ball got over there. And then the antics of you interacting with OG and different people on the court, you are an idiot in some ways. You really are crazy. And I couldn't believe how much they let you like yell at the refs last night. It seems like you're getting away with Draymond Green level, like harassing the refs without getting called for your shit. And that's really crazy to me. Like, why do you have so much respect, Julius Randle? Why are the referees not, saying, shut the fuck up, tech, hello, technical, because he really did seem like he deserved some sort of call like that at some point last night. And then what a whiny bitch. This the way he interacted with the Raptors and like acting like, oh, he's getting hurt and stuff. Yeah, this dude's on the sliding scale of Embiid. He is going towards Embiid territory with just how he acts on the court and just how stupid he is. He's such an overpowering offensive player in some ways, but he really is a character in other ways also. And it's annoying. It's very annoying. Scott B and Raymond are here this morning. Let's see what they're saying. First in was Scott B. I saw your comment last night, but erased the first one. I know you had something to say about Pascal and his, like, we do not trade Pascal. And I agree with you. We really do not. Because in some ways, Pascal is showing that he's kind of like, in some ways, a generational talent. He's not totally common. He's, once again, we talked about it yesterday. OG Anunoby does not grow on trees. You cannot just grow 3 OG Anunobys through the draft. Well, I don't know how often you get a player like Pascal Siakam either. And that when people start talking about, oh, you don't trade people like Kevin Durant or LeBron James, you may start to have to say that about Pascal Siakam, especially if he's going to continue to grow on this exponential curve going straight. Like he's just growing and growing. It's seriously, he's just growing. The fact that he hit over the 50-point plateau last night is very interesting. The thing about what he does on the court that makes it so much more impressive is that he's not going without the natural flow of the game. It's not like he is forcing or he's dominating in a way that is like taking away from everything, or it's like awkward, or it's not smooth. He is literally playing within the game of what he would do any night, and he's just improved so much that he did that to get that output. It's not like he did any further exertion or anything like that. He was hitting it, and he was that damn good. And that's interesting to me because some guys have to really kick it in and then we say, oh, I'm at 44. Well, I want to get 50. And they really go for it. But that wasn't the case last night. It was a very natural 52 that just kind of came to him naturally through the game. And that's what I'm saying. He really leaves a lot of stuff on the table as far as accolades that he could be going to get. I've talked about this recently that he could be getting more triple doubles if he would like stat check and just kind of fill in those holes by the end of the game. Oh, I need 7 more rebounds. Okay, well, I'll really get aggressive on the boards. And boom, you got a triple double, Siakam. I was going to really be upset if he had not gotten 50 last night. He was so close. And having 26 at the half, I was like, man, this dude could get 50 tonight. And well, he did. And it is really, really special to do it in Madison Square Garden. It's way different than doing it in another city like Sacramento or Orlando or Memphis. This is a big deal because they keep track of it. And only the greats have come in there and done this kind of thing to the Knicks on their own court. People like Michael Jordan, people like Kevin Durant, people like, it's crazy the list. You see the list of guys who've done this before Siakam, and you're like, holy crap, he's in this company with these guys. And that says a lot. It really does. He was Jordan-esque last night. We can honestly say that Pascal Siakam was Jordan-esque. And when you can say that about a player, that means they're pretty damn good. Trust me. You don't put that word Jordan-esque on just okay or just mediocre. Oh, that's pretty good. No, you have to be great to get the term Jordanesque. And what he did last night, you can go ask Spike Lee and you say, what did he do last night, Spike? He said, he did some Jordanesque shit. And I'll bet you he would say that. And Mars Blackman would know because he was in the commercial with old Air Jordan in the day. So, all right, let's keep going. Raymond Jacob, I'm going to sing this for you. Just inside. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world that the Raptors have won again. And we knew they were going to win before the end of this calendar year, 2022. I knew they would. They have more pride to lose the rest of this month. And that would have been horrible if that happened. They wouldn't let that happen. And this is a great thing. Now that they've won this game last night, they got some good positive feelings. In fact, there was some very interesting open gym clip last night after the game. The interview with Pascal was really awesome. Seeing Scottie and Gary and Christian attack him with the water bottles, and they got Kayla Gray pretty good too. They really doused her too. And Pascal kept feeling like he had to say he was sorry to her. He's, I'm sorry, Kayla. I'm sorry. He said it even in his post-game interview. Apologies to Kayla. And he was like, I don't even know why I'm apologizing. I didn't do it. Well, you did do it, Pascal. You did it when you did 52. You had some, unfortunate, a casualty on the side of your water attack, Kayla Gray. And, she actually has to it is your fault because you scored 52. So, yeah, you're right to apologize to her. But then the scene in the locker room is even crazier because they're all going to ambush him. And you see them with the water bottles and they're dousing him with water. And then OG starts picking up the water bottles and whipping them at Siakam. He's like throwing them. He's like throwing the whole bottle with some water and it hurts. And he's like doing it like a crazy man. He's like, ha, 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 ha. He's throwing these bottles at him. And Pascal at one point has to say, OG, chill, bro. Chill. he's just nailing him with these bottles at point blank, like bam, bam. And it's like, dude, do you not understand that this hurts him? And like, this would be the craziest way for him to end up on an injury list, that you were whipping water bottles at him in celebration. OG just doesn't know his own strength, whether it's on the court, physically playing with other players around him, or when he's whipping water bottles at Siakam after a 52-point win. I mean, that was such a classic OG moment. Like Siakam literally says, "OG broke, stop." I had to talk about it. It's so crazy. All right, Scott B saying, "Love it, Raymond, but it's not just the wind. It's what we went through and how we handled the adversity." That's the thing. Listen. There's teams that would, in this, what the Raptors just went through, they would have cracked like a nut. They would have been like split right down the middle. It would have been like pointing fingers. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's the coach's fault. No, it's your fault. They could have been turning on each other. And this is such a key, important thing to an NBA team, that when you have adversity, you have losing, you have bad things going, you cannot turn on your teammates, because it will make it 10 times worse. It may be like when you do that and you're having the turmoil, it's so much harder to figure things out and get back on track when all of a sudden you're causing more problems because of the losing, because you're blaming and turning on each other and maybe not getting along all of a sudden. The Raptors don't fall for that. They're too smart and understand this, and they're not going to allow that to happen. That's a great characteristic about them, is that they really do understand, for them to get out of things, they need to stay together and stay as a unit, and they cannot start blaming each other or having resentments, or like, they're really smart. And the way they do this so smart, and this is brilliant, is that they really only are allowed to focus on themselves. It's like they can't, Scottie had a struggle last night. Sure, Scottie had a tough game in some ways, but they're not coming at Scottie today. He's going to see it in practice in the film session and see like his score on his report card, and it's going to look pretty bad. And he's going to be like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to play better, and it'll get better. But nobody's coming to him and getting on him themselves and like coming down on a ton of bricks on him. He knows himself, and he can self-police himself for how well he played. They're going to help him. They're going to show exactly what he should have done, or where he made mistakes, where he like did not cover on defense in the right way. They'll clean all that up in the film session, but there's no person on the team that's coming in pointing fingers at him, or a vet who's kind of coming down on him. Like in the past, vets would be able to come down on people real easy. You just ask Michael Jordan and Steve Kerr. He could come down on Steve Kerr real quick and start pointing fingers at him because he could get away with it. He was Michael Jordan. Well, Siakam's not doing this to other guys on this team. He's not going to do that. He's going to lead by example, and he's not going to come down hard on somebody like Scottie. Let's do the 3 stars for last night. Pascal Siakam, by far the first star of the game, 17 of 25 from the field, 2 3-pointers made, 16 of 18 at the line. That was a huge factor in the game last night, the free throws. 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal. 52 points. He played 41 minutes and scored 52 points. That is always something I love to see, when you get more points than when you play. And +8 on the court. Siakam, by far, one of the greatest performances by a Raptor in a game ever. We can really say that. Some people might say maybe one of the greatest. I mean, I was at the Phoenix game when Vince scored 50 on NBC, the first time a Raptor player ever scored 50 points in a game. I was at that game in 2001, and it was a special day. It was an incredible day. Well, this is just like that. This is a very special day. And once again, doing it on that stage in that building makes it even more premium and special. You just get your name added to a list of amazing players that were able to accomplish this in a hostile building. You saw the New York fans were very engaged and active in this game late in the game because it was somewhat close. And, the way the Raptors kept they kept their wits, and they just played really smart through like a hostile crowd and a little bit of adversity. We saw these moments where, okay, is this going to be like recently where we're going to stagnate and not be able to buy a shot? And we saw people step up. We saw Pascal step up, and we did see some clutch from Fred last night, which was really good to see. Fred needed that so bad. He's been getting such a bad rap. Fred is our second star of the game. 40 minutes, 10 of 24 from the field, 4 of 10 from three, made all 4 of his free throws. In fact, Siakam and Van Vliet were the only 2 Raptors to take free throws last night. But Siakam had as many free throws attempts as the whole entire New York Knicks team. So, the refs were manipulating the game last night, and they weren't good. They were fucked up. They were actually screwing us over at different times. I can very specifically think of that continuation play they took away from Siakam. They're full of shit. He needs to be treated. Look, that man just dropped at 50 points last night. You need to treat him like Jordan. If he's going to continue with his offensive motion after getting fouled and he makes it within like a second or two after he gets fouled, you need to give him continuation because what he's doing is special and athletic and not like everybody can finish through contact like that. So Josh Tibbin, Brett Bernanke, when you guys rob Siakam of that extra point from getting a continuation, he should have made the 2 points and gotten 1 free throw. You're kind of fucking up his scoring average. That listen, Siakam could be one of the leaders in the league in points and scoring if they would just put him on the line the way he's supposed to be. Now, I say this, and you're like, well, he shot 18 free throws last night. What do you want more, Lex? Well, there's still points shaving him. Trust me. And I don't like that. I don't like that they don't give him the respect for the and one because he deserves it at this point. He just dropped 50 points on MSG. Referees start giving him the calls that he deserves because he is in that level, that echelon of player that deserves the favor to get to the line through contact and allow continuation. This is one of the things. It's like you see these players make crazy ass shots through contact where they're getting hit. They should count. I am sorry. That play really pissed me off. And there were a couple other plays, like the challenge play was messed up too, that we lost. He fouled Wancho or whatever that play was. I don't remember exactly how it was. He dropped the shoulder. And it really was that was a messed up play. Like the challenge didn't go right for us. And it should have been overturned. It was not the right call to me. So the refs were there was some ref manipulation last night that I didn't like. I really didn't like. And they were trying to help the Knicks to a degree, but it didn't matter. We overcame it all. That's the way we do it. We have to beat the other team. We have to beat the refs. And sometimes we have to overcome ourselves in the way we can't score. So we did it. We beat all 3 of them last night and got the W. And that's very important and special, especially in a hostile environment with a pretty good coach and a team that's been very hot lately. Winning this game last night was no slouch. This was very impressive. It really was. Let's see. Tom Duke saying, yes, Raymond, what a wonderful world to eat spicy Cameroonian pancakes and fufu. Served with Canadian maple sauce. Thanks, Pascal. You freaking rule. Yes, you go, Tom Duke. I don't even know how to comment that. Adriana is saying, good morning, everyone. That was such a great game last night. Yes, Adriana enjoyed watching the game also. And thank you for frequenting the stream recently, Adriana. Very interesting. Callie's here. What a game. Good to see Callie Mayer. She is saying, what a game. It jumped. Where is it? Pascal's back must be sore today from carrying the team. Yeah. Well, it wasn't just a him show. Freddie was really good also. Like I said, he had 28 points on 10 and 24 shooting, 4 of 10 from the field for 3. I don't mind that. 4 of 10 is pretty good for his 3-point shooting. 40% is great. He made all of his free throws, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block, limited his turnovers. Now, only 4 assists, it is whatever. Siakam's really turning into that Pippen point forward with 7 assists. But, Freddie was great. He was the second star of the game, and he gave more fodder to shut people up about him. It's like he's going to have bad games from time to time, and sometimes it's a matchup. He's just not a good matchup for him, and he's just not going to look good. Well, when he has the opportunity to look good, he will, trust me. And he did last night, that's for sure. And then my third star is actually going to be OG. And OG he was just really good in different ways, like very much annoying on defense for the Knicks, very much physical, 7 of 15, 1 of 6 from 3. Would like to see him make a couple more of those threes, but still Not bad. 3 offensive rebounds, 6 rebounds altogether, 1 assist, 1 block, 15 points, and he was a +5 on the court. So OG's my third star. So it really is those veteran old Raptors. And in fact, we're seeing a trend in this last 2 games with Philadelphia and New York that Nick is starting to more lean on his vet presence, that he's playing more vet guys in ways than like maybe having Scottie and Christian out there a whole lot. In fact, Scottie had a lot of time on the bench last night to watch and see what was going on and kind of maybe get some more motivation to play more clean and not play so erratic right now. I mean, it was tough. Scottie was 1 for 10, missed both 3-point attempts. But listen, there were some bright spots in what he did. He may only scored 2 points, but he did get 4 offensive rebounds for 6 rebounds altogether and 3 assists. In fact, he had a very beautiful assist to Fred with the cut through the lane. When he found that assist, it's like, look, that kind of thing is impressive. And then the stuff that he did, like that one possession where he got like 3 offensive rebounds off one shot because he was just so motivated and trying to put it back. He didn't make any of them. And that was really part of why he was 1 for 10, is he had like a 3 offensive rebound possession and he missed every single one of those shots when he's trying to put it back. It's too bad because the effort really was there for Scottie. The stats don't look good, but he had really good effort in a lot of places. But once again, he's getting beat by inexperience and he's just getting, I don't know what's going on with him exactly, but it's nothing to really overreact to. This is normal second year player kind of things. Evan Mobley is going through the same damn shit in Cleveland right now. He has such an up and down season this year, also. He has games where he doesn't do anything, and then he has huge games. And it's very, very similar to what Scottie's doing right now. I'm sure if Cade Cunningham was available and to play this season, it would be a similar thing with him. He would be having struggles in different ways also. Franz Wagner, another player that has been up and down this season. He has not just been go balls to the wall, I'm going to score 20 plus points every night. There are nights when Franz does not show up also. So let's like gauge Scottie against his peers. Let's look at what Mobley's doing. Let's look at what Franz is doing. Well, Cade's not playing, and it's too bad. But that's what I'm saying. The erratic stat lines from Scottie are normal and par for the course for a second-year player, figuring out things a little bit better, harder stuff. You're learning harder stuff. You're doing harder things. But once again, we got to look at things with Scottie, 2 things. The passing aptitude is going to get better and better and more familiar with the other players. And you're going to see more and more amazing passes like that one to Fred. And then the stuff in the low post is just so dominant. And it's so bread and butter, so good. And it's going to work against most of the teams in the league. And I can't wait to see that get more and more developed. So listen, there's nothing wrong with Scottie. You can look at his stat line last night and say, oh, he had 2 points. He didn't do this. Well, he had a learning game. And in some ways, listen, part of it is there's a real dichotomy between his home performance and his road performance. And that's true. There very much is. And it is a little bit like this crowd is hostile. There's weird energy. MSG is a very weird place to play because in some ways it's like you take all the road, kind of like stress and you amplify it because there's a prestige. There's something about that building. There's so much built into it that is part of the reason why it makes what Siakam did last night so special. That in some ways, that may be part of why Scottie had a hard time in Madison Square Garden last night, because it's Madison Square Garden. And this is such a big deal. This is like these are big games. Playing on the Mecca, on the big stage is a big deal. And there's different things and reasoning why Scottie's struggling like this. And we need to give him passes. We need to give him passes every single time. Y'all need to stop worrying about him. He's going to be fine. He's going to figure it all out. And if he can have a bad game like that, like last night, and we still win the game, that's fantastic. He's not going to have very many of these games. Pascal may have more 40, 50 plus games himself, but I'm going to tell you right now, Scottie's not going to have many 2-point games in his career. And one of them happened last night, and it's not going to be very often. Trust me, it won't be very often. Let's see. Fun guy saying, Raymond, I love it. I sang it in my head as I read it. Yes. What a wonderful world when the Raptors are winning again. Logical Raptors Fanatic is here. Check out his YouTube channel. Always good Raptors content. Very factual stuff. Salute the Real Ones Project. Truth always. Solid win. Spicy streak buster. Fred VanVleet hit the dagger. Things are returning to normal, but now OG is better on the offensive side. Yeah, OG really is this kind of guy that's like, somebody described him as being like Kawhi in the last day or so. I forget which one of you guys did it. And I can't disagree in some ways. I mean, there are moves that he's making to attack the basket that look kind of Kawhi-ish because they're very strong, methodical, and hard to stop. So yeah, and I love that he's hitting his three again. The three is a really important part of his game because he's like an outlet for our guys, and he just needs to be consistent with it. He's shown a good consistency and a great fundamental shooting mechanism that can be duplicated over and over again. And I'm just glad that it's back. When his hand was hurt recently, it really did affect his shot. But I really have confidence in his three once again. And that when we see OG get open like that, we know that he's going to be pinpointing it, hopefully, and making the shot. And we need that. We need more consistency with shooters from the outside on this team. It's weird what's happening with Gary Trent. Yesterday in the game, he looked like he was on weird science. He had those 80s glasses. And he just looked like some dude who was at that party, Weird Science, with the Anthony Michael Hall and them, and like Weird Science. That's what he was looking like with the glasses. He's got these different looks, and then between that and Precious's pants on the team, like on the bench, those guys were wild with their style yesterday, and I love it. I love that wild style. In fact, Jack was going on about Precious's pants for a little while last night during the game. It was pretty funny. Let's see. Lolita saying, good morning, all Raptors freaks. One word about Siakam in the game last night. Wow. Yeah, what a performance. I feel sorry for those bandwagon fans that have not been watching the Raptors since they've started losing, and they lost out and missed out on such a historic performance by our guy, Spicy P. Such a great game, Lolita. Wasn't it so entertaining and fun to watch? It was amazing. Sue's here. Woot, woot. Good morning, everyone. Now that was an entertaining game, Pascal was on fire. Y'all, check out Play It Again, Sue. Sue's music reaction YouTube channel. It's awesome. We got a couple of creators that are in here in the stream, and I'd love for y'all to go support them. Logical Raptors Fanatic and Play It Again, Sue. Thank you, Sue. And I agree. What an entertaining game. It was a lot of fun. And once again, I know like the Knicks are just a certain kind of team. Listen, this is not a team that wins 8 games in a row too often. So it was very special that they had this win streak. And I'm glad we got to end it for them. You remember this last year, we were playing the Atlanta Hawks and they were on a win streak and we were kind of on a mini slide, not as bad as the one we were just on. And we beat them. And they lost their streak. And I'm telling you, there's something about streak energy. It can get inside your body and you can carry it and go forward with it. I love to take this inertia that the Knicks have been riding for the last 2 weeks and put it into what we're doing and make our own streak now. Like this happened last year. We beat Atlanta. They were on a huge streak. And then boom, we went on a crazy streak after we beat them in the second half of the season last year. So I'm expecting, hopefully, that we can do this. We play real good against Cleveland. In fact, I think we match up really well with them. Cleveland and New York are two teams that Toronto still has a really good matchup against. So I feel real good going into Cleveland on Friday night and continuing things, hopefully. Hopefully Siakam doesn't miss a beat. Listen, dude, you can play at this level as long as you want. In fact, he broke a record. For the Raptors, you are the first player to ever average 45 points over 2 games. That is crazy, Pascal. You averaged 45 points between the Philadelphia and the New York game this week. Well, let's keep you averaged at 45 points. It may be really like top heavy and maybe too much. Maybe we need Scottie to come and score some of those points. OG a few more, Fred maybe a couple more, some of the other guys, because it's true. Our box score still looks weird because it's so top heavy with a 52-point effort by Siakam, then 28 by Fred, and then boom, you got 15 by OG, and then everybody else barely scoring. But on the Knicks side, it really is similar in some ways. I mean, they had Randle and Barrett get 30 points each. They both look really impressive in their own ways. And then Quickly was really annoying for a while in there. 6 of 9 from 3 by Emmanuel Quickly. Very, very annoying. He had 20 points. So you look at that, that's 80 of the Knicks points and 3 players. Then you add 10 more by Mitchell Robinson, that's 90. And then that's, the other guys are barely doing anything. In fact, we outscored their bench and we did not have good bench production last night. We got 12 points off the bench and we still outscored them 12-9. In bench scoring. It's pretty interesting. Like the Knicks have an interesting team, but they really are relying on their best 3 players. If they don't do things, they're going to lose. They're going to lose games. And it's kind of amazing that they won so many games in a row with that kind of setup. I mean, Randle was 30, had 30 and 13 rebounds. Pretty good game. RJ Barrett was really interesting and really good. He could not miss for 3 for a little while there. So that was pretty interesting too. But yeah, just a good game played by the Raptors in general. I really, really am impressed with them. Jalen Brunson didn't do nothing. He got 7 points and 12 assists, but, he didn't do a whole lot. Let's look more fine-tuned with the Raptors other than the big 3 stars. Juancho Hernangomez, 28 minutes, 2 of 4 from the field. He missed both his 3-point attempts, but he had 3 offensive rebounds, 5 rebounds altogether, 4 points. A -2 overall. He didn't. His stat line doesn't look that good, but he was very active and very good with the defensive scheme. In fact, our defense looked really sound once again. This is something that I'm glad has shown up the last 2 games is our defensive effort and just like sealing guys out and just playing really good where it's making it so hard for the other team to score and they take so long of the shot clock and they're just struggling and they're like, Juancho's a big part of that headiness of rotating and keeping the defense really sound. He may not be the best individual defensive player himself, but he is a very, very good team defender working within Nick Nurse's defensive system. He really thrives in it actually as a great defender. And we also saw a really nice putback by him. His only basket was an offensive rebound tip back that was very timely and very helpful at the time when it happened. So once again, Wacho didn't have a super great game, but he did play very well and he did help with the defensive schemes. He didn't play as much in the second half. He was more in the first half. Then, Malachi. Let's talk about Malachi off the bench. 26 minutes, 3 of 8 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 2 assists, 8 points. He was a +16. He was actually the highest plus on our team. And that is not by accident. In some ways, Malachi played exceptional defense on the outside. The 2-guard lineup was not a problem against the Knicks because they do play a couple of small guards themselves. And he really played a lot of the crunch time. He took Scottie's minutes late and he deserved them. And I really commend Nick for making this call. This is something we talked about in the last couple of weeks. It's like, do these starters just get carte blanche to just stay in the game in the end of the game when things are really important just because they're our guys? What if they're not playing that well? Gary's not shooting well. Scottie's not shooting well. Well, he benched Scottie late in the game last night for Malachi. And I think that was the right move because in some ways, Malachi is much more of a 3-point threat at that point, and we needed that kind of stuff out there. It may be that Malachi didn't score a whole lot last night, but they were very timely threes that he made that really helped and keep moments of the game to keep us going the right direction. And the fact that he was the highest plus minus on the team is not by accident, once again, that he really was an important driving part for us to get the W last night. So I like that. And I love seeing that from Malachi. And it wasn't totally the scoring. It really was his defensive energy that was very helpful to the team last night. Now, Chris Boucher didn't play a whole lot, 13 minutes, 1 of 4, 2 points, 3 rebounds. It just wasn't one of those nights where he really called Chris too much. He came in for a little bit of a stint in the first half, but it was, he was taking kind of ill-advised shots and maybe not totally playing the way Nick wanted him to. Thad Young, on the other hand, he only got 2 points also, but he had 24 minutes, twice the time as Boucher, 1 for 3 from the field, but he had 3 offensive rebounds, 7 rebounds altogether, and 3 steals. So that was super active. And, the 3 offensive rebounds with 3 steals, that is a dude who's making more possessions for us. 3 steals and 3 offensive rebounds, that is him literally making 6 more possessions for us right there. So I really like what Thad did, even if he didn't score very much. He was a +11 also. And then Koloko, really smart usage of Koloko, honestly, because this is kind of how he should be used in spot duty, just for a different look, because he was allowed to succeed. He did not even really, he didn't score. He didn't do anything that impressive, it seems. But I'll tell you what, he was very successful. And I'll tell you why. Because he actually worked within our defense in an effective way where he did not hurt us. He wasn't a huge weakness. We covered that up by playing him a short period of time and just giving him a short period of time to get out there and just play a good quality stint without like a whole bunch of them scoring on us and getting hurt. He actually played really well defensively. You won't see it in this box score, and you'll be like, but you watch him during the game, and you'll be like, wow, Koloko's actually playing like smart. I think he did get a block at least. Yeah, he did get a block. He got 1 rebound and 1 block in 6 minutes. But this is the thing, baby steps. If he's not going to be able to go down to 905, and we have more guys that are kind of playing capable around him, you don't need to start him. Put him in short bursts so he can have success and build confidence that way. And that may be way more effective to developing him in the correct way than starting him and throwing him to the fire at the beginning of the game every day. You want him to come out there when guys are a little less energetic. If he's coming in at the beginning of the game, he's got to deal with the whole force of the other team right at the bat. And if he's coming in later, he can come in and kind of be more effective and have more success. And I really like the way he played him. And I'm glad he only had one DMP. He does not deserve to sit for too long. He needed one just for a kind of a statement. And I'm sure the message got across on Monday that he didn't play in the Sixers game. But now he got that little bit of run in there. And that's really important because he needs to feel like he's contributing and that his confidence is growing. But we want him in quality minutes where he's not absolutely hurting us on defense. And we can hide that more in shorter stints off the bench than when he's just starting right off the bat. And he can be exploited right away at the beginning of the game. So really good stuff. So I'm not upset with the guys who didn't produce a lot off the bench. You can really see good stuff from Thad, Wancho, Christian, even Scottie. Scott, you could look at Scottie's stat line and be like really pissed at him, but there was some really good bright spots and some really good stuff for the future. I wish he had gone more aggressive and done more low post, like dominant stuff, like he's been doing recently, but he hasn't tried to do much of that in the last 2 games. I think that's on purpose. I think they're holding back on that a little bit. I don't know why. Let's see. Monique is here. She's saying, Pascal over everything. Good morning, everyone. We are about to go on a good streak. I hope you're right, Superfan Mo. That sounds so nice to me. That sounds like a best Christmas present for Raptor fans is to get a good streak. Starscream's here. Nets fan is checking on us once again. We get Boston fan checking on us yesterday. Now Nets fan is back to check on us. Let's see what Starscream has to say. A very friendly Net fan that we like. He's a very good dude. Let's see. Raptor Freaks, thank you for shutting up the Knicks fans for one night at least. I'm so happy Pascal's career high was against them. There you go. I'm sure you're glad it happened against them and not against y'all last Friday or something like that. Yeah, I get it. I get it, Nets fan. Listen, I know that inner city rivalry between the Knicks and the Nets is still kind of there in some ways. And yeah, Knicks fans can be very annoying when they're rolling and they get a little cocky and they get a little, well, yeah, you're welcome. And we appreciate doing it. We really do. We like shutting people up and messing up their streaks. We really, really do. So yeah, and wasn't it so awesome to watch him? Like as a fan of another team, can you really appreciate what Pascal is doing with his like moves and just how tough some of those shots he made last night were? Some of those crazy floaters, like we saw in a couple games recently, him throw it up against the backboard from a really weird angle with a scoop shot, and it just grazes the backboard with enough of hitting it to deflect it to go into the basket. That is such a hard shot, and you can only do that shot from practicing and shooting 10,000 millions of times. You have to throw the ball off the backboard so many different times to really learn how it bounces off of it, to really learn how to do that inertia, that angle, and get it second nature. Because he's not even thinking. He has his brain turned off. He's just throwing it on instinct at the basket, and boom, and hits. It just grazes the side of the backboard, and boom, and falls in from an impossible angle. He's doing shit that is very unstoppable and weird. Like the stuff where he dribbles a little bit and then he steps back and then he shoots over them. That is so Jordanesque to me. That's the kind of shit Jordan would do. He would do like a little dribble, and then shoot over the guy and make it. And there wasn't anything they could do to him to stop him. It's so deflating. I just love that. I think that, like, as a fan of another team, you can appreciate that there is some aspect like that in his game. We've shown a lot of appreciation recently for Khoury and Kevin, that we really respect and understand how good they are as players in the history of the NBA. Well, we'd like that same kind of respect coming the other way with Pascal, because I'm not saying he is the same level as Kevin Durant in the history of the NBA, but he's closer to Kevin Durant than most players in the league is Pascal Siakam. So Dwayne Greenridge is saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks family. Pascal Siakam is a bad man. He's a bad man. What an awesome performance. I love that comment, Dwayne, so much. And I hope you're having a great Thursday morning so far, just like all of us already. I'm sure you are. Yeah, I love that. He is a bad man. He's a very bad man. And it's like, the funny thing is, he's not even doing it with an anger streak right now. We were just talking about Pascal's mean this year. Well, he wasn't even doing it. He was doing it with a smile, and he was so friendly and happy looking on the court. And I love how everybody's celebrating him. I mean, even Kyle Lowry posted about his performance last night on his Instagram. So he's getting love all around a lot of places. And it is really interesting and fun to see. And yeah, I'm glad that other team nations are celebrating us taking down the Knicks. Jimmy Pope saying, awesome accomplishment for Pascal. Well, it's funny what they were saying after the game. Fred was like, I knew he was getting close to my score. And he's like, I didn't want to give him the ball at the end of the game. Fred being selfish and like kind of still like lording that he wants to keep that record over Pascal. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Fred, it looks like Pascal can more easily beat your record at some point down the road. He really wants to, he will. Because I'm telling you, he's not trying as hard as he could to go and score huge numbers. He's really doing it naturally. He's not forcing it. He's not doing more to take away from the game. He's giving to the game, and he's getting what he gets naturally, and he's getting this amount of points. Now, at some point, he's gonna beat Fred's record. I know he is. I just have a feeling that he's going to do it this season. I really do feel like he might do that. He's just on a weird career curve where it's just going to happen more often. Now, the other thing about it is, what was I going to say? Anyway, I forgot exactly what I was going to say. So I'll just move on. I'm sure I'll figure it out in just a little bit. Let's see. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Rabbit Free crew. Beautiful, impactful history game. Congratulations, Pascal, and the team will feed off his energy. Yeah, it is like a history game. Like there's 5 Raptors who have scored 50 plus points in a game, and Siakam is second. Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about. With Siakam's performance last night, we may need to really start thinking about who the top 3 Raptors are of all time in a different way. I've already been putting Pascal as third, but I may want to move him up the second or first soon, because he is a champion just as much as Lowry. And in some ways, what he's doing is kind of overtaking accolades that Lowry did for us, that his accolades are on a different level. When you start getting your stats compared to people like Luka, Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, you're a little bit more on another level than Lowry, because you can look at Lowry's resume and say, okay, he's a champion. He was our leader. He did this. He did that. He has this in our record books. He did this. But what Siakam's doing is more like Kawhi and that kind of level of production. And I don't count Kawhi because he's a one-year rental to help us get a championship that year. And I don't put him in, like I've already talked about this a lot, that I don't put him in the top 5 Raptors of all time because he just wasn't here long enough and he didn't show a loyalty to the team. Some people may very much disagree with that. And it's the same thing for Vince. I don't put him in the top 5 either. Actually, he's number 5. He is very much just at number 5. But it's like Lowry, DeRozan, Siakam, Van Vliet, and Carter are my top 5 Raptors of all time. Well, Siakam is very much moving up, and I think he may have to be 2 or 1 very soon, that he may be the greatest Raptor of all time, and we may need to start saying that because of performances like last night. That, Kyle never scored a 50-point game for the Raptors in his entire career for us. You know, he did a lot of amazing things for us, but Siakam is another whole level in some ways. And we may need to revise the greatest Raptor of all time rankings in our heads to allow for this performance last night, this performance in particular. And the fact that he's all NBA twice, the fact that he is an NBA champion, you know, the resume is real good to say that Siakam is one of the greatest Raptors of all time. And that Raptor fans need to start opening their eyes to this and maybe like really giving him the respect in that ranking. That I think he's a greater Raptor than Vince or Kawhi. I personally do. A lot of people will be like, whoa, 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 he's better than Kawhi, better than Vince. What are you talking about? There's no Raptors without Vince, and there's no championship without Kawhi. Yeah, I'll say that I believe that Pascal, part of it is because of longevity and being with the team, but also the accolades he's getting right now are better accolades than any other Raptor has ever gotten in our history. That, you know, that we've not had a Raptor score 50 points in Madison Square Garden like that ever before. And there's not many players or teams that can say that. There's a lot of teams in this league that have never had a player in their history score 50 points in the Knicks home court. You know, there's some teams that can say that, the Lakers, the Bulls, the Celtics, but not most of the teams. And we're in that club because of Pascal last night. I love it. I love it so much. Tom Duke saying, feeling bad for Boston sports today. NBA was a bizarro world last night. Nets had 45 and 46 points in the first 2 quarters last night. Yeah, last night was a Wild West in the NBA. The Nets playing a fantastic game against the Warriors. Starscream can't be upset. You know, they had an amazing game last night against them. And then also it was great to see Boston lose again last night. They lost to who did they lose to last night? Indiana by 5 on their home court once again. So Boston is very much sliding right now. And what I said to Boston sports fan the other day about your insecurity is betraying you by coming in here and coming at us is very much true. That he is insecure about his team because they are in a little bit of a bad place. And I have no problem with that. No problem with that at all. Boston, you guys are now a half game behind Milwaukee for number 1 in the East. 22-10. You have lost 3 games in a row, and you are 4-6 in your last 10. You know, that's not far off than what we've done in our last 10. We're 3-7. Y'all are just one more game more in their last 10. So Boston, you're not that far off from our slide, honestly. And meanwhile, the Orlando Magic win once again last night over the Houston Rockets, and they are still rolling. Now, it's really good that we won last night because if we had lost last night, we were going to fall out of the play-in, and Chicago was going to jump into the 10th spot. So it's good that we won last night because we were going to fall right completely out of the playoffs last night if we hadn't. And that would have been that. I don't like that. I don't like that in some ways. Now, are we still wanting to tank now that we see what Siakam did last night? No, I don't think so. I think that we're very much that same team that's still capable, and we're not broken. That we've shown that our defensive intensity and consistency is back, that we can play a very solid 48 minutes for the most part on the defensive end and really stymie and hurt the other team from scoring. You know, let's look at the box score from last night with the team stats for the Raptors. There's some battles that we very much won, and I'm very happy about. Now, we didn't shoot as well as them. They shot 55%. We shot 45%. But the key to this is we made the exact same amount of field goals as them, but we took 16 more shots or 18 more shots than them. We got 18 more field goal attempts than them. And that's a huge part of, like, you know, kicking their ass is that we made more shots than them, even though they shot better. Their 3-point shooting, they got 2 more threes than us. That wasn't a huge margin to make up. 6 points on the 3-point differential. We could make that up. And we didn't shoot well at 3, 26.5%. They shot 42% from 3. But once again, they were limited with how many shots they could get off cleanly without us bugging them. And meanwhile, we got 34 shots off. So we outshot them with attempts. And then the free throws were really important, honestly, that Siakam was getting those free throws and getting to the line because we got 4 more free throw attempts than them altogether, but we made 9 more free throws than them. They shot horrible at the line. Randle in particular, 61% free throws by the Knicks. They could get real mad about that. That's a big part of why they lost last night is missing free throws. But we shot 91% at the line, only missing 2 free throws. Siakam himself missing both those free throws. But you can't get mad when he's shooting like 14 to 16 for free throws or something. Or no, it was 16 of 18. So that you can't get mad at that. He made 16 out of 18. He's going to miss 2. Hey, that's not a problem. The rebounds were right down the middle, 38 rebounds for both teams, which is crazy. But the difference in that category is 16 of our rebounds were offensive. And that was huge. That's huge because that really shows that, like, all right, we're missing more shots than them, but we are also getting more rebounds than them. We're getting exactly the same, but we're making it up on the offensive end by cleaning it up and getting more than them that way. 16 offensive rebounds, fantastic. They have more assists. We only got 17 assists. I wish we could have got more. We beat them in hustle stats, 11-5. That's 7 steals was huge. Also, a huge stat for last night: 5 turnovers to 17 turnovers. That's a game right there in some ways too, is that we took care of the ball. We didn't really turn the ball over that much, and they turned the ball over left and right. And that really helped. They won the points in the paint 56-48. And yeah, things were pretty even for the most part in some ways, but really the turnovers and the field goal attempts and the free throws, really huge keys to the victory for the Raptors last night. Not limiting turnovers was really big. And we've done a really good job. Even in losing lately, we've done games where we've barely turned the ball over and still lost. Well, it's starting to pay off again. That taking care of the ball and playing well really shows something. In fact, turnovers is a good indicator of whether we're playing well or not on the down low. We could lose games and have low turnovers, and still I'll be like, wow, we're actually really playing well because we're taking care of the ball. Because that was a huge part of it last night. They didn't take care of the ball very well. They'd throw the ball away. They'd have really bad problems. And then boom, good things were happening for us. The locker room was golden. Yes, Monique, wasn't that such a fun little open gym clip? And I'm just glad to see these guys getting some sunshine, some happiness, some smiles, because it has been a very dark December. And, we needed this. And it's so weird and poetic that it happens on the winter solstice. The darkest day of the year is where we hit this, like, and then boom, as soon as the darkest day is, in the middle of it, boom, we start moving towards going back towards the light, and the light's more increased during the day because now we have longer days outside for sunlight because we just had the solstice yesterday. So it's kind of weird, poetic, kind of like going along with it, that now days will get brighter, literally, for us, weather-wise outside, and also hopefully on the court. Kareem Thomas is saying Pascal dropping 52 points was incredible. But what was more amazing was OG's relentless rapid fire of water bottles in the locker room celebration. Never seen OG so happy, and it wasn't even for himself. Introvert. I know, it was really weird. Like, he was like maniacal about it. It was kind of like, he's like he's just wailing them at. He's like really winging them at him. He's not like just lobbing them at him. Like, oh, he was like really like, I'm gonna fucking beat you with these bottles. It's like what he was doing. He was like really like wailing at him with it, and you could tell it hurt. And Siakam was like, OG, chill, bro. I just love that quirkiness and that weirdness of it. Like, it's just so fun. And it was funny. He was really like rapid fire. Seriously, he was looking for him, or he was holding him or something. He's like, whoa, whoa. He's just wailing him at him. And you could hear him smacking against him. Go watch that clip. You'll know what I'm talking about. You'll see it. Everybody else is throwing water. OG's throwing these does he not understand that he could hurt Siakam doing that? So good, Kareem. It's so good. Naka's saying, I was expecting so much heartbreak at the fourth quarter. This might be the game where the vibes felt the best. MVP, Pascal, Siakam, Fred, and OG were our best players. Yeah, they're clearly our top 3. And just in different ways. OG maybe partly for the rapid fire bottle throwing. Yeah, Nako, seriously. I mean, we've seen this recently where we can have a close game late in the game, and we just don't take care of business, and we still lose at the end. We've had these deflating close losses lately, and they've sucked. And we were like, okay, are we going to just get the next horror or miserable experience of losing at the very end of the game like we've had recently? Are we going to get that? Is this the latest horror show? No, because we actually did really well to manage the game and show that our culture and our ability to do that is still very present. That I was worried. That was one of the biggest things I was worried about in this losing streak recently, that we lost the ability to manage the game and effectively win it in clutch. And well, no, we showed that we can still do that. And it was two things. It was Siakam not shrinking away at the end of the game and continuing to pressure them by going right at the rim and getting himself on the line. And then, OG and Fred both had key stuff late in the game to help them win as far as like hitting some shots. Fred had a very key dagger three late that was part of his stats for being clutch. Last year, Fred VanVleet was one of the most clutch three-point shooters in the whole entire league over the whole course of the year. This year, he's not shown that clutch totally, but he did last night. There was very much a key three that Fred hit that was absolutely necessary for us to keep momentum and win last night. So that was really nice and felt good to see, because Fred has not had that in recent games and he's failed. And he did not last night. He succeeded. And that big hug that he gave Pascal at the end of the game last night, that's partly him like, thank you for helping us carry to the W, because I'm so sick of doing these things and not feeling this. And you helped us get there, Pascal. Thank you. That hug was a hug of thanks, not just a hug of like, wow, I'm really impressed. And my brother, my teammate, my friend scoring 52 in Madison Square Garden. So, yeah, it was really good. OG saying OG was whipping bottles at Pascal. I know that was hilarious. That whole part was just silly. And I'm like, seriously, we don't need somebody getting injured because you're throwing water bottles at him, OG. Come on. It's so funny. A fun guy saying, I was shocked Randle was even chirping at the free throw line, loud and heavily at the refs. Where's the tech? That was ridiculous. Laugh out loud. The clout that Julius Randle carries with him on the court is really that he plays for New York, that he plays for the Knicks. If that motherfucker played for most teams in the league, he would be getting teched and thrown out. It really is because he's their star and they're protecting him. They protect him just like they protect Draymond Green on Golden State. Both these guys should be getting techs and thrown out left and right way more than they are. But they can't do that because they want New York to be a good team and he is their guy. And that's why he's getting protected. He has a license to be an asshole and talk more shit than other players on the court. He was riding all over Evan Scott at one point in the game. They were standing in the lane, and you could literally see the camera angle of him dogging Evan Scott and him dogging him back. And I'm like, whoa, that looks like technical kind of stuff right there. But no, he's untouchable. They wouldn't call shit on him. And I really do blame that he's like their franchise player, their main scorer, and they're trying to help New York. That's really what I think it is, that he gets a little bit of protection like Draymond. Draymond gets protection just for years of being in the league and being a champion. And he's also on the TNT broadcast crew from time to time. So there's different treatment. And these guys are loud ass jackasses and they're getting away with it. Well, the NBA needs to watch out because they're very good examples of how you don't treat everybody the same. For very little, guys would get texts in this league, other guys. Why are Julius Randle and Draymond Green allowed to just go off on refs and yell at them and get so in their face without any consequences? It really shows that there's haves and have-nots. And there are privileged players in this league that can get away with more than others. And I think that the NBA needs to think about that, especially if it's so obvious that Randle is, fucking tech that motherfucker. He's complaining and acting all like this. He would go into the line, motherfucker, and you're still yelling at Evan Scott. You're upset. He gave you the foul, and you're going to the line, and you're still yelling at him. He's like, oh, you didn't call it soon enough. Or you're not calling it enough. What the fuck is wrong with you? I really don't like Julius Randle at this time. I think that he's a big baby. He's kind of a bitch. So, yeah, it was kind of interesting to see that game last night. Starscream saying at Tom Duke, I bet you Boston Sports doesn't even show up today. Look at this. Nets fan is joining us on dumping on the Celtics fan today. I love it. What a glorious, beautiful day. Yeah, I'll bet you he won't show his ass in here, Starscream. I'll bet you're damn right. Oh, my gosh. See, this is what happens. These guys come in here, they get all cocky, and then boom. bad things start happening to them. I got to watch out for myself with this. Yep. Nope. And Tom Duke's got some weird pink emoji head on the chat there. I've never seen that one. Once again, Tom's pulling out the new stuff. Logical saying all right, hang on. I want to clear this out first. Okay, Logical is saying the Beyblade spicy trade slanders are on the spicy nuts now and slandering Fred. It's funny. I screenshot someone in the AM calling for loss 7 and Wemby, and then in the PM talk that Spicy is a superstar. This is why we need to be consistent with our takes. Listen, I make a lot of takes on this channel, and I could say some crazy asinine shit from time to time. And if I'm wrong, I'll take it back. But you really got to have like a broad baseline of how you make your takes so that you don't look stupid like 12 hours later or something like that. Really, people, when you make comments and opinions about the Raptors on Twitter, be more responsible. Some of y'all are just stupid and talking out your ass. Really, really dumb trade talk, really, really dumb slander. And, the receipts are there. And people like Mike can come back around, circle back, and show you where you were stupid, and like even just hours ago. And I love that aspect of it. But really, you got to understand that this league, it can change real quick. And there's no reason to sell us down the river and betray the team in a really bad spot, because they're going to rise up and be good again. And I love that. I love that. You go ahead, Mike. You give all the receipts to all these idiots all over the place as much as possible. I endorse and I appreciate and support that kind of work. I really do. And a lot of people do it on Twitter, especially. People love coming back and circling back with old statements from earlier and be like, yeah, okay, how you feel about this now? Do it. Do it to all the Fred slanderers. Do it to all the Pascal slanderers. Do it to the Scottie slanderers right now, too, because they're out, too, right now. Tom Duke saying the loud, outspoken minority is all quiet today. Yeah, I mean, listen, once again, I really do believe a percentage of our fan base that is very vocal and loud in these situations where we're not doing well isn't even our own fan base. It's really like I said, it's a political thing where they have bots, they have like maybe automated people, maybe they're just troll accounts that are actually ran by fans of other teams, and they come in and they start saying crazy shit to try and make it more of popular sentiment possibly in our fan base, like fire Nick Nurse. Oh, we got to trade Pascal. Oh, we got to get rid of Scottie. Scottie was the worst pick ever. These people are going to come in and try and pull things apart even worse when things are already bad. And some of our fans are susceptible to their suggestion. And that's why it gets bad. It's like somebody who's not really a fan of our team comes in and he starts something, and then boom, other people start parroting their stupid ass take. And that's what I'm saying. That's part of the reason why I wanted to build this channel is I saw there's an information war about the Raptors and the truth about them, Project Truth, that Mike's always talking about is very true. There's a lot of untruth about the Raptors, and we need to be more balanced. And maybe I am more in their favor than maybe realistically. But that's a balance to the people that are very much detriment or like give us a discount in the other way. So that's what I'm saying. It's weird. It's an information war to a degree, and there are people out there trying to stir the pot by telling us we don't need Fred, telling us we don't need Nick, we don't need Pascal, and it's really because they see Fred's clutch factor last year in threes, and they know he's going to come back around with it. But if he's struggling right now, that's an opening for them to start getting into the minds of Raptor fans and telling them, you guys don't need Fred anymore. You don't want Fred anymore. He's no good. He's broken. He's no good. Because they secretly just want him off our team because he kills them. And then also maybe they partly want him on their team. So we got to really realize that a lot of this slander comes from places where they want to get these players off our team. And this is how they pry them apart by public opinion. They try and do that. Let's see. Jimmy saying, laughing my ass off. Randle was making me laugh. He was getting cooked by Pascal. And when he finally made a play, he started flexing and screaming, made me chuckle. I mean, he's an idiot. Like, seriously, he's on that scale of like Joel Embiid idiot. Like, Joel's the biggest bozo idiot in the league. But Julius is on that scale going towards him. Seriously, he really is. But yeah, the funny part to me was when he was battling with OG in that one part. And he's really getting frustrated with him. He's pushing him around. And the refs are awesome. Evan Scott and those guys actually did a good job in some ways, but in some ways they didn't. They very favored the Knicks at times, but they didn't call any fouls in that little theatrical part where he's like tangling up with OG. OG's just playing. He doesn't care. He's not reacting emotionally or anything. And Julius was just getting so mad at OG. And he's like flailing around. He's like, "Ugh!" And he's like looking to the ref, like, what are you going to call? You going to call something? And they don't call shit. And I just love that. It looks so funny to me to see OG so calm and cool, collected, just like fucking with him. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and he's flailing around. He's like, oh, what are you? It's so good. I love that. I love that so much. But Randle was part of the entertainment last night, and listen, he is a very good offensive player, and he does make a lot of shots, and he's annoying. But I love that whole other part about him is funny. That other stuff's funny. The Monique saying OG is a true savage. He was funny with that stuff I just talked about with Randle, and then he was really funny after the game. That's so crazy. They like whipping those bottles at at Pascal. It was really crazy. All right, Blue City's here. We got Sixers fan checking in. So we got Nets and Sixers are checking in with us today, but no Celtics. We'll have to see if we get a Celtics fan in here. All right, Blue City saying, as a Sixers fan, good game, Raptors fans, for trying and fighting and clawing your way back to try and beat my team in overtime. For that, I give you this guy's my respect. Okay, Sixer fans giving us respect for the Monday game. And you got to like what we did last night also, kind of like Nets fan. Do you feel good about how we beat the Knicks last night and ended their streak? They were getting a little too high and mighty. Once again, like Nets fans said, the New York media just loves when the Knicks are doing well, and they will just like newspaper fellatio that team all over the place. And in some ways, Nets fan probably gets pissed off about that. And they're like, wait a second, they're on this win streak, but look at what we're doing right now with Kevin. And like our win percentage is a little bit better than the New York Knicks right now with recent times. And like, wait a second, did you just see what we just did to the Golden State Warriors, the defending champions last night, and putting 90 points on them in the first half? It's like, where's our respect and exposure in the newspaper? You guys are just talking about the Knicks. Well, the Raptors beat them. Siakam got 52. Okay. Thank you, Raptors. And now they'll shut up about the Knicks win streak and maybe focus on the Nets. So that's the Nets fan feeling like that. But, once again, another Atlantic Division opponent, the Sixers, can appreciate that also. And they're glad that we didn't get the truck out of the mud against them on Monday. It could very well have been that we had won the game on Monday and had a 2-game streak by now. But it didn't happen that way. We weren't ready yet to break out of our slump on that night. And Sixer fan is grateful for that. And it was an entertaining game on Monday. It was very interesting. We've got growing pains right now, but we're figuring it out. We're gonna give it some time. But thanks for checking in, Blue City, and we do enjoy seeing our great Sixers friends that are established friends and not trolls and people that we don't like. We have some good Sixer fans that we love interacting with, and Blue City Empire Sports is one of them. And I appreciate you being here, and check back in with us some more often. We see Random Gamer, but we haven't seen you as much. But we appreciate you being here today. Country Kong saying, great team win. Let's go Raptors. That's right, Country Kong. I love what you said yesterday. And boy, did we get it right. Didn't we, Country Kong? We got it right yesterday. Yes, we did. Nako saying, I saw Raptors fans suggesting we trade Pascal, Fred, and a pick for Mobley. That's not a Raptors fan. I love that you put the quotes on it, Naco the Nacho, because that doesn't sound like a Raptors fan. That sounds like a Cleveland fan. There are a lot of weird, crazy trade ideas going on around the league right now in different fan nations about Pascal and OG and Fred. And, these teams dream of these, like Gary Trent opting out of his contract yesterday. This was normal and this was going to happen. And don't read too much into this. It could go a couple different ways still. He could still be a Raptor. But, the writing is on the wall. He probably is moving somewhere. But when Gary opts out of his contract yesterday, it's crazy how the fan nations around the league respond. All these different fan nations want Gary Trent so bad on their team. The Lakers want him. The Rockets want him. The Celtics want him on their team. It's crazy. The fan nation's coming out and saying, "Ooh, we really want him." And OG, these guys are very valuable and sought after around the league. We built the value into our players, and in some ways, Masai and Bobby have some real good cards in their hand that they can deal with. And they have a position of power in some ways because we have players that people want, people that are attracted to have on their team. They've seen how good they are on our team and like, this would be a good fit on their team. Well, it'll be really interesting to see how they manipulate and use this advantage to our advantage as a team in our roster build. That maybe, something could very interesting happen because it's crazy. Gary opts out of his contract yesterday, and boom, out of the woodwork, all over the internet, all kinds of people saying, come to my team, Gary, come to my team. Everybody wants these guys on their team. And it's fucked up too, because like the US media won't cover the Raptors very much, but they'll do the hell out of us trade speculation on our guys. You'll see OG's face all over the US media when it's talking about possible landing places for him or trade destinations. But they won't talk about him for his play. They just bring it up and how good he is when they're talking about him getting traded. Brian Windhurst. What's going on at that place that you work at, Brian Windhurst? Something's fishy. Alistair saying they can't say nothing now. That's right. Y'all can't say nothing now about the Raptors. No, you can't. No, you can't. Not nothing. No, nothing. And it's in having the premium performance of Pascal Siakam in the middle of this whole thing too, just makes it even more special and stark. In fact, on ESPN today, on their front page for the NBA, they have to put the top headline says Siakam's 52 helps halt Knicks 8-game win streak. That is the top headline on ESPN this morning. And that is the truth because you got to. Somebody scored 50 in MSG. You better put a shine on that, even if it's the Raptors. You better put a shine on that, US media. You better pay attention to that because that is Jordanesque. And that is what you want in this league. You want Jordanesque? Well, you got it last night from a man named Siakam from Cameroon. That's what you got last night was Jordanesque. And you better enjoy it and respect it and love it, NBA. You better. Yeah. Click is saying, G's saying, Nako, laugh my ass off, shaking my head. These guys have no clue. I know, it's crazy. That is crazy. I mean, that's not a Raptor fan. That obviously isn't. It just isn't. Click saying, I hope this is a turning point in our season. Me too, Click. And once again, Click, I see you all over social media for the Raptors. I appreciate you always fighting the good fight as a good Raptor freak and just being a positive fan and doing stuff. I know that you've been down a couple times this year too, like I have. But we've stayed positive and we kept things going. And now things seem like they're going to be going in the right direction. I really do like the idea that winter has started yesterday. Winter is coming. They say that in Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. Well, winter has fucking came last night. And we, the North, we live in the winter and the brutal cold, and we are ready for it. It may have been dark in November and the first part of December, but we're turning around now, taking it game by game. In Cleveland, we're coming to see you on Friday night. We're going to bust this Friday night not winning thing, and we're going to beat your ass for the third time this season. Yeah, we're coming to get you again. That's right. G saying some of our fans really undervalue our players. They really don't understand how good some of them are. Yeah, I don't know. Once again, I think that there's just there's a different levels of knowledge in our fans. There's people like us that really pay attention, people that may have a history based in like watching the NBA for decades. And then there's people that are Johnny come latelys that really didn't watch basketball at all until the Raptors won a championship. And they just kind of know a couple players' names, and then they just kind of listen to what people are saying around it, and then they parrot what they think sounds right. And maybe they're really getting bad takes from the wrong person, like Pensair or somebody. And then that's how it all happens. But it really is like there's different levels of knowledge about basketball. There's real experience from playing from different levels. Like if you're a collegiate player, you probably have way more experience playing basketball and knowing basketball than most people. It really is. There's different levels. And the thing is, anybody could be an armchair quarterback, just like me sitting here. We're talking about the game the day after, and they can make their own channel and they can say whatever the fuck they want. And it doesn't mean that they know what they're fucking talking about. There's just a lot of that going on online these days. And the people sometimes start following people that are just not the right people to follow because they have really crazy opinions. And it's crazy. Monique's saying, go vote if you haven't already on a game like last night. Why not? Right? Yeah, this is important. There's going to be a couple days in the next couple weeks where your vote will count 3 times. So pay attention to that. The NBA puts out these triple vote days where if you vote, some people are just putting Siakam on their ballot and sending it in. They don't vote for any other of the 10 spots they could vote for. They just put Siakam on the ballot and send it in. And I love that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, one of the things they did this year for the All-Star voting that's interesting is they got rid of voting on Twitter. They got rid of the ability to hashtag the votes because of what happened with Andrew Wiggins last year. I don't think they liked K-pop fans having such a good, strong muscle in saying who should be an all-star or not. That Andrew Wiggins became a starter last year. And you know what? In hindsight, he deserved it because he did end up winning the championship and being a very key, important person in that, Maple Jordan. So I have no problem with him being an all-star and starting. It's just that they got really upset because it was really strong-armed by people that weren't even basketball fans. It's just like K-pop fans were told to vote for Andrew Wiggins by a K-pop band, and they followed suit, and that's how he started for the All-Star game last year. Well, they took that aspect away from voting. You have to vote the traditional way through their website, and they're not counting all the hashtags like they used to. So you really do have to do it the brick and mortar way, like Monique is saying. Go on there to NBA.com and make your all-star selections. And let's help Pascal and possibly OG get on the all-star team again. I think Jack was right last night in the broadcast when he said, Pascal's going to be an all-star. No ifs, ands, or buts. If this man is not on the all-star team, something's really fucking broken and wrong with the NBA. So we should expect Pascal to be there. And if we get a second player on the all-star game, that's probably not likely just because of how bad our season's been so far this year. But Siakam should definitely be on there. Let's see. Starscream saying, Lex called me out for disappearing last year, so now I'm going to show up to as many streams as I can. We missed you, Starscream, honestly, because like you were playing trivia with us and you were doing pretty good. And I'd see your name on the trivia standings and I'd be like, where did Starscream go? I miss him. That was the only reason why I remembered was because you were on our trivia standings because you did really well in the beginning of the Raptor Freak trivia. And then I kept seeing your name on the trivia standings like Starscream. We just don't see him. And I knew a lot of it had to do. That team was really in a bad place at different times last year, the Nets. And when you guys did the deal with to get Simmons, it was still unsure. He didn't ever show up last year. You know, it was a tough year for you guys. And I understand that. Like if you guys had a Nets freak channel and I was going there like you, I would stop showing up at some point recently with the Raptors too. So there's nothing wrong with it. But I do appreciate that you're here frequently now. And now that we've played all the games with you guys and you swept us, you can come in here very safely and deal with us for the rest of the year and not have to worry about certain things unless we do play you guys in the playoffs at some point somehow. That could be interesting. But yeah, I appreciate your presence once again. Blue City, Starscream, fans of other teams, you're totally welcome on the Raptor Freak channel, and we appreciate interacting and the goodwill that we build. Blackhawk saying we needed a win, we got to win. Pascal carried us like a true leader. We need 7 more wins to make up for our defensive breakdowns during a losing streak. Yeah, we need to counterbalance a losing streak with a winning streak. We need to very much get back over 500. 500 really is the watermark for whether you're going to be a good playoff team or not. If you're right around 500, you're probably in the play-in. If you can get well over 500, you will be in the playoffs. But, you know, if you're 450, 460, 475, you're probably in the play-in just barely or maybe even out of the playoffs. So we really do need to get back on the right side of 500. That it is really an important signifier of where we are with our team. And we've got ground to make up. We were 5 games under 500, and now we're 4 games under. Let's make them up and get back over there. And I agree. Logical saying work through his offense. When Spicy worked through his offense, people wanted him gone. Then when OG goes through the same thing, everybody was him to play just 3 and D. And then this people want to trade Fred to low development IQ. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying, Mike. But, you know, listen, these people are weird for their reasons for why. There's one woman on Twitter that I follow. I'm not even sure why. She's a huge Pascal fan, but she hates Fred. And she calls him the midget and the short guy and all this stuff. I hate it. In fact, I should stop following her. It's just that she's got interesting jokes sometimes, but the way she treats Fred just really pisses me off because it's not right. It's disrespectful. And she really shows that she's a more recent fan and that she doesn't really understand Fred or his path and what he's been doing. And, some people just care so much about winning that they really are fucking assholes to the players when they fail. And they act really like casual, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Some of the things she said about Fred recently are not warranted, and I hate it. I hate it. I'm going to go unfollow her after this. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. That's what I'll do. Blue City is saying has some more to say. Let's see what Blue City's saying here. Excuse me. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you guys are filling it up. And I should expect that on a great day like today. Not trying to be rude, but the idea is something's wrong because I know that somebody is putting me on timeout on your live stream. No, I actually have a new feature on here, Blue City, since you've been here, that I have a 5-minute delay. You guys are not allowed to comment, but every 5 minutes. And you know what? It's really to like shorten the length of my live stream. That there's more people coming in and more comments. And if I let you guys just comment like crazy and type everything out, we may be here for 5 hours. So it really is like it's a 5-minute delay. You can make a comment every 5 minutes. It's for everybody on the stream, except for the mods. The mods can comment as much as they want, but that's what's going on. But yeah, it's nothing. It's on purpose, and it's something that I've had to do in recent months because we just got so much busier on here. It's really to shorten my stream time. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor freaks. Our team won that game. It was not given to us. Our guys owned it. Let's keep it going, Raptors. Yes, Randolph Phillips. Blessings, blessings, and blessings from the could have been a pastor. Pascal Siakam is giving blessings. He's testifying. He is on the podium and he is just going off with a fiery sermon, a beautiful spin moves, and just beautiful, silky, buttery smooth, like through the net kind of swishes. Woo! Pascal was on he was up on the mount, giving a good sermon last night, and he testified, and I loved it. It was so good. Oh my gosh, so many blessings, and I love that we won finally. And yes, this was earned. They earned this by going through the fire of disappointment and looking themselves in the mirror, thinking about, wow, what kind of team are we? Well, we got to get this out and get going. And they did it finally. I knew they would, and we knew it was coming. They could have been this team that just rolled over and we'll be a shitty team for the rest of the year. No, they're fighting. They're fighting their way back, and I love it. Fiercey saying, good morning, fam. What a game yesterday. Spicy P definitely needs to be put back on the MVP conversation. Yeah, I won't disagree with this. I mean, Jokic is doing some very incredible things right now. He had a 13, 13, and 13 game recently. And the only two players that ever done that were Magic and Larry. So there are some really stiff competition. And some people were talking about, like, well, if Jokic wins a third MVP, that puts him in another category with other people. So I don't know if Jokic will win it this year, even if he very much might deserve it once again. Because they start giving it to some people too much, then they have to look at it in the overhaul thing. So that Kobe only won 2 MVPs himself, but Jokic is going to win 3. They got to start gauging it with all time. So I think there will be a new MVP this year. I don't think Jokic will win 3 years in a row. I don't know if Spicy will get it, though. There's very much like it's hard for them to even admit he's all NBA, let alone give him the MVP. And it really would have to do with us playing very, very well if he was going to absolutely get the MVP. But he could very well end up on first team All NBA this year, though. That's what I'll say. It's like, let's aim for that. That may be more realistic. But yeah, it's going to be real tough to get MVP. G is saying Blue, he has it on slow mode. Yeah, that's what's up. Yep, that's what it is. Blue hadn't been here in a while. That's what it is. Logical Raptors fanatic saying that pass to Fred VanVleet cutting was no look and on point. Scottie will be good. He's young still. Yeah, Mike is seeing the future. The glimpse of the future is that pass. And Scottie's just got to get more confident and really just get comfortable in his skin and what he's doing on the court. He's going to get more and more of those kind of plays. It's there. It's still in development. It's much like Koloko. It's not polished or totally ready to be out there in a way that is like very like sound and dependable, but that's going to come. And the flashes of what's to come are there. We're seeing it in the low post with Scottie. We're seeing it with the brilliant vision and passing. And then also recently, as somebody brought up, him in the open court is very much like Giannis attacking the basket. He can be very dangerous in the open court if he's aggressive, kind of like what Spicy was doing late last night, where he was attacking the rim. Well, Scottie in the open court with the dribble is very dangerous also. So there's so much to like about Scottie. And listen, I'll take him having a hard time right now if it means later on things are going to be so badass and amazing. The struggles are real, and the struggles are part of the process and getting to the promised land. And you can't skip them. They're a part of the whole thing, and you need to go through them head on and deal with them. And that's what Scottie's doing. We can't expect him to just be perfect this whole way through. In fact, it's amazing how perfect he was last year, considering everything. This year, it's not going to be like that. And we just all as Raptor fans need to support and understand this and allow him to grow. He's going to show amazing stuff over and over again, and more frequently and more consistently as time goes on. And we just need to allow for it to grow like a plant would grow in a pot. It's just got to have time to get bigger and sprout and go out and flourish, and it will happen. Trust me. Blue City saying, Country Kong saying that could really be a vibe changing win. Oh yeah, the vibe completely changed on the team now. They feel a little bit better. There's more confidence. They may be able to share the ball between each other more effectively because they feel more connected. There's a brotherhood and a vibe on the team that got strong from celebrating Pascal's performance and throwing water and bottles at him last night. That very much is a bonding moment. And, Scottie, I love this. Scottie was 1 for 10 last night. He only scored 2 points, but he was smiling and he was enjoying and celebrating. He wasn't in his own head about his own selfish game or anything like that. He was involved and very happy and smiley and celebrating Pascal and his accomplishment. And that's who he is. Anybody who thinks he's selfish or upset, no, he's an ultimate team player. And he was really happy to see what happened. Despite he had a bad night himself, he's not a hater like that. He loves that his teammate had a 50-point game in Madison Square Garden. Don't get it twisted. And I love that. Blue City's got the emotes today, kind of like Tom Duke. He's got a couple of people. He's got 2 basketballs, 2 championships, and 2 titles. Doc versus Nurse. That's what he's saying. Doctor versus Nurse. Doctor Nick Nurse versus Glenn Rivers. Dr. Nick Nurse versus Glenn Rivers, because there's only one real doc in this situation, and that is Nick Nurse, a doctorate that he got in the last year or so. Him and Adrian Griffin are both docs. And I don't know if Doc Rivers actually has a doctorate. You know how Doc got his name. He was wearing Dr. J apparel when he was younger in a practice, and they started calling him Doc because he's wearing like a Dr. J shirt or something. And they're like, oh, hey, Doc, you're a Doc, because he's wearing Dr. J shirt. And that's how it got all to this point. He's Doc because he was wearing Dr. J stuff. Let's see. Monique is saying 3 stars of the game. Pascal, Fred, OG, bonus, Malachi for his plus minus. For me, Lex. Why not? Let's go. I love it, Monique. And your stars are the same as mine. And I love, Malachi needs to be taken of note more for his defense last night. Very sound defense and really a big part of, in some ways they needed to contain guys like Quickly and Brunson. And they did a good job. Our little guards did a good job of stymieing Brunson from getting going. And Quickly was a problem for a while in there, but they really did kind of slow him down at a certain point. Now, there was another game last night. So let me just real quick go over the Raptors 905 game against Mexico City. They lost, and it was unfortunate. A couple of big old Raptors on the other side. Bruno Caboclo, I'll never say his name right. Bruno played for Mexico City. He had 12 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 8 rebounds. He fouled out, and he had 4 turnovers. And then the other guy from our past is Alfonso McKinney, 29 minutes, 8 of 13, 20 points, 4 for 7 from 3-point range, 5 rebounds. They beat us 124 to 110. And once again, it was the Elam ending, I'm sure, but they had a huge lead on us, and we scored like crazy. Once again, too little, too late, Raptors 905. You can't have them have a big, huge lead and then have an Elam ending where you have to score like 15, 20 more points than them in the Elam ending section and expect to win. That's just not enough. But you did outscore them 39 to 25 in that race, but still not enough. You still lost by 14. So that's crazy. As far as 3 stars for Raptors 905 last night, my first star is actually Ron Harper Jr., who played his best game for the 905, I think, ever. 24 points, 8 of 13 shooting, 4 of 9 from 3. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks for Ron. So he was a number 1 star for 905. Second star, Justin Champagny, 24 points, 6 of 13 shooting, 4 for 7 from 3, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Really a stat stuffer by Justin. And I love the 3-point shooting by both him and Ron Harper, both getting 4 threes each. And then the third star, I'm going to go with a guy off the bench, Morsel, one of our new players. He was 5 for 7. He hit a 3, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 12 points. He was a +9. He was our best plus minus on the team for the game last night. Off the bench, new player Morsel, the new guard. But yeah, otherwise, Reggie Perry, he got a double-double, 14 points, 11 rebounds, but he shot 5 for 15. Jeff Doughton, a quiet night, not a normal night for Jeff Doughton Jr. 2 for 7, only 1 3, 5 for 7 at the free throw line, 4 assists, only 11 points. Sterling Brown, 2 for 7, 10 points. Kenny Wooten, no score. Ryan Hawkins, no score. Gabe Brown, 2 points. David Johnson, 0 points. And then Hassani Gravett, 19 minutes, 3 of 5, 3 for 4 from 3, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 13 points himself. Not a good performance by the 905, and they are now 7-11, and they lost both games at the Las Vegas Showcase. Well, the good news is everything gets wiped clean, and now the Raptors 905 will start the next part of the season, the regular season, and hopefully they can get off to a good start and get a streak and get a good record starting now. They don't play until after Christmas now, so their showcase season's over, and now they will start again after Christmas. And they do have 2 more games before New Year's. So next week they'll have 2 games before New Year's. But 905, you got to do better in the next part of the season. I'm not impressed with you, Eric Khoury. You got to do better. You're letting other teams get big leads on you, and you're too little too late. And we don't want to see that, all right? I'm a fun guy saying I think we're slowly pivoting towards without Gary Trent. This could be very well true. And in fact, the success of us last night without Gary Trent is very telling. I don't know what's going to happen with Gary. I think that it is true that he may not be a Raptor for much longer, and sad but true. And I don't talk about this kind of stuff lightly. I don't want to say it unless I do actually think it probably is true. And yeah, I think it might be true, and we'll have to see. Him opting out of the contract yesterday is what he was going to do anyway, obviously. And it's just part of the process, but we'll see. It doesn't mean he's totally out. We could still keep him around somehow, some way. Cool Cat saying Scottie is fine. Development comes from in games, on the bench, off court, experience, leadership from Pascal, work ethic, expectations, pressure. Pascal preaching team and adversity and happy times. There we go. There we go, Cool Cat. Exactly. Let's give him a pass. Let's allow Scottie to be human, to be a young man who's 21 years old in the NBA, and he's learning. In fact, he's way advanced for a guy who's 21 in this league. There's not many 21-year-olds that can dominate the paint and do the things that he does already. There's not many 21-year-olds that can make Magic Johnson-type passes in the middle of the game. So we need to just allow him to have exceptions and excuses for things that are happening with him. In fact, we need to protect him as Raptor freaks and the Raptor freak cult against other fans in our fan nation that may be really stupid and not really seeing the whole picture with what the timeline for Scottie should be and how things are going with his development. So we need to be the fight against these idiots. They're going to say all kinds of stupid asinine shit after he shoots 1 for 10 and only scores 2 points in a game. Well, look, why can't you go look at what Pascal did and just focus on that? You negative ninnies have to go and pick one of the Raptors that played badly in the game and pick them apart. Fuck that shit. Stop doing that. Let's celebrate and laud and elevate the guys that did exceptionally well, like Pascal last night, instead of feeling like you got to kick the guy who's down, like Scottie last night. There's no point to that. And if you're doing that as a Raptors fan, you're not really a Raptors fan. You don't care about this team, obviously, because you would be celebrating the positives and elevating Pascal Siakam on high for such a great accomplishment in Madison Square Garden, instead of kicking Scottie while he's down, while he's 1 for 10 for only 2 points. So, yeah, Skater Dylan is here to come in and say, I knew it. Let's go, Raptors. So happy. And a Boston fan, very happy that, we beat New York. That's what Skater Dylan said yesterday. He came into this chat and said, I predict that y'all are going to beat the Knicks tonight. And he was exactly right. Thank you, Skater Dylan, for sending us good vibes. And thank you. for being a good Celtics fan who's also quasi a Raptors fan. We appreciate you, Skater Dylan, being here. Shane Waters is here, West Coast Raptor Freak. Shane Waters, one of the originals, one of the best Raptor Freaks out there. Shane Waters, we appreciate you. Good morning. Best part of the game was when Quickly woke up Freddie by clapping in his face after he made a three. Fred VanVleet comes back and makes it rain very quickly. I love that, Shane Waters. Great joke. And yeah, that point in the game didn't really stand out to me, but I'm glad you caught it. And this is true. Like, these guys have pride. If you're going to come at us and try and do some punk ass shit, well, you might just piss off Fred VanVleet. This was some phenomenon with Kyle back in the day. It's like, don't poke the bear. You want to be showing up. You want to be a little bit like show off. You kind of like, ooh, he just scored on you. Ooh. Well, don't piss off the player. You might poke the bear, and you poked Fred VanVleet and pissed him off and motivated him. No, you don't want to do that. It's like when we play the Nets. Don't piss off Kevin Durant. Let him just be on cruise control. Don't get him like agitated, because he will start playing better if you piss him off. There's certain players you just don't want to piss off. You want to just like let them play. Don't do that to them. Kevin's one of them, and Fred may be one of them also. You don't want to cross Fred or make Fred look bad or try and do shit like that, because quickly he will make you look bad. Quickly is what Shane Waters is saying today. I love it. Troy Henry saying, I told you yesterday we're going on our 5-game winning streak. Also out yesterday said he'll bet all the money in his pocket the Raptors get the W last night. That's right. Troy Henry was another believer yesterday. I remember that too. These guys are all coming in saying we're Nostradamus. We knew this was going to happen. I kind of figured it would happen too. So we're all in the same boat. But yeah, Troy, you get your flowers too for saying it right, you and Dylan. And I have no problem with this. You guys are going to make prognostications and be like Puxatani Phil, and you're going to say, oh, it's going to be no more spring. Winter's over. I mean, spring is starting. No more winter. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll give you your credit when you were right with your predictions. And you go, Troy Henry. You go, Skater Dylan. You guys were right about us beating the Knicks last night. I appreciate it. I really do. And get all that money. Get that money. It was a good bet. Mike's saying Malachi's offense looks nice. He's starting to make more plays on defense, but he still needs a certain guy to be on to be effective. The Knicks guards aren't strong, not gonna lie, IQ or athletics. Yeah, some of this is matchup too. Like, understand, matchup against us, against the Knicks is really good. We match up real good against them. And I think the same's about Cleveland. Cleveland's another team that we match up real good, line up against, line to line. Now, one of the things that I want to revisit about Key to the Victory yesterday that I talked about, that they really did do, is this whole idea of matchup versus matchup. It's really like, okay, it's Julius versus Pascal. Who's going to score more points? Who's going to be the best player on the court? Who's going to dominate? Who's going to, take their team to the win? Well, that was a victory for Pascal by far, 52 points to 30. Then you can go down the line. Jalen Brunson versus Fred VanVleet. Who won that battle? Well, Fred won that battle, 28 points. Jalen Brunson not even scoring in double digits. RJ versus OG. Well, you could say maybe RJ beat OG just because he got 30 points and OG got some team points. But that may be one of the few battles that we lost on an individual level head to head. And that really is the way to build a win, is by winning your individual battle against your counterpart on the other team. And the more the Raptors can think about this, the more successful we'll be in getting W's. Beat your individual nemesis on the other side, Pascal. You beat them every single time as far as outscoring them and being the more dominant player in the game. We'll win many, many games to come. Now, we don't want to lean so heavy on Pascal where he's got to get 50 points all the time. We really do need more equal scoring throughout the whole roster, as far as like people like Juancho, Scottie, Thaddeus stepping up and getting double-digit games also. I don't like how anemic our overall scoring is, and it really is like a two-headed or three-headed monster these days of double-digit scores, and then the rest of the guys are getting single-digit scores. We need to balance this out even more across the board, because long-term winning won't happen unless we do this. We can only win a couple of games here or there with that kind of like overall dominant level. And it may be that he has to have that good of a dominant game to like almost 50 or in the 40s. And we don't want to have to rely on Pascal so heavy. We will tire him out. So we do need these other guys to step up and do that kind of stuff. So I like it. I like it all around. Cool Cat saying very happy for Malachi. He's developing a two-way player. Oh wait, I think I read that. Oh, it's kind of the same. Oh no, it's kind of similar to what Mike's saying. Developing into a two-way player that Nick wants. He had a nice timely defensive block on Brunson, and his three still there from Pro-Am this summer. He's a good shooter. Like if he's open, he should be making it. In fact, I see Malachi get so mad when he misses shots from time to time because he knows he should be making them. And especially if they're close to the basket or they're a wide open three, he gets really hard on himself. And he should because he's that kind of shooter. He needs to make every open shot that he takes. I love that you brought up the block that he made near the end of the game. That really was a huge defensive play to help us at the end of the game. In fact, we did really good with our defense in clutch time, which was really shutting them down and not letting them have anything near the end of the game. That was a huge factor in us winning. And Malachi had a very clutch block that needs to be noted and pointed out that this guy's not just a three-point shooter that's bombing for us. He has been very dogged on the defensive end also. And having a block at the end of the game in clutch time is very, very helpful for us winning. And I really do appreciate you bringing that up, Cool Cat. Nameless saying, I think this could be the season turning point that I was anticipating. We need to quit over helping. It's leaving us too susceptible to the three. We were doing really good with our defensive schemes. Like they were switching it up, the way we were playing the zone, the way we were rotating, the way they were communicating between each other. That's so key. And that was one of the things that kind of went away during this losing streak is we weren't talking enough. And in some ways, they really need to like keep that communication on defense up at all times. That when they're not communicating on defense, you can really tell because they're losing assignments and they're letting guys slip through and get easy baskets. So the communication and staying together and really in touch and feeling like you're connected as far as the way you're moving in tandem with the rotation is so, so important for the Raptors defense to be successful. That if they're not talking to each other, then it's not going to be as good a defense. They definitely need to be opening their mouths and saying, over there, going there, all that stuff. Let's see. Skater Dylan saying Boston drops off and Toronto picks up. Sounds like every other season ever. You know what? Listen, there's good and bad spots of the season, and we've had a really bad spot recently. Hopefully, we're getting a good spot now. You guys have had a really good spot for most of the season so far, and you're having a little bit of a rough patch right now. In some ways, I wonder if it has to do with Robert Williams III coming back to the lineup and trying to reintegrate him. That sometimes when you have a big player that's important and a heavy rotation player, and you bring him back, there's a learning curve to putting him back and integrating him into the system without some ruffles, kind of causing things to go wrong in different ways. It's like there's a balance to NBA teams, and you upset it when you bring back a player, even if he's very much going to help you in the long run. But I think that's part of what's happening right now is the Celtics are kind of adjusting to Robert Williams being back, and that's part of it. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't even know what I'm talking about. Maybe I should go look at their box score and just look at why they lost last night. I could tell you exactly why they lost. All right. Well, they gave up 42 points to Indiana in the first quarter last night. That's no defense. Is Williams playing? Yeah, he's coming off the bench. He was 3 for 5, 12 rebounds and 6 points. That's pretty fantastic. What happened here? Jaylen Brown got 19. Tatum got 41. They didn't really have a whole lot of scoring otherwise. And then on the other side, Halliburton went crazy. And I don't understand this completely why they lost. Now I do know if we're gonna like stir the pot, that recently Jason Tatum missed a game to go to his son's 5th birthday party. And those kind of things kind of rankle Celtics fans, and just like it could rankle people on the team also. There's kind of like, oh, you're so high and mighty and above the rest of the team that you can just decide that you're going to take a game off. Now I understand it's his son's birthday. But listen, Jason, come on, man. You can do his birthday sometime during the day on a game day and still go play in the game. So that doesn't seem like a good excuse. Because he did. He sat a game out just to go to his son's birthday party recently. And some people say, well, it's family, it's important. It's like, stop judging him for that. Well, it's also the Celtics. They want to win a championship. And this gets into the kind of thing like Vince Carter went to his graduation on the day of game 6 and we lost, or game 7 or whatever game it was. And yeah, that's that kind of talk. It's like, what is your commitment to the team? I love that. I'll put that on Celtics Nation. Maybe you need to think about what Jason Tatum, does he care enough? He's going to his son's birthday party instead of playing in a game. That kind of stuff. Country Kong saying, I believe in this team. Don't trade anyone. Yeah, yeah, I mean, listen, if somebody's going to get traded, it'll be Gary. And it'll be really because they have to for management purposes, as far as like contracts and stuff. They're speculating, and I know I don't talk about money too much, that Gary's going to get 20 million a year on this next contract. And that may not be something that the Raptors want to be on the hook for him in particular. I don't know. We don't know what Bobby and Masai think and how much they really do truly value Gary Trent Jr. It could be that all along the plan was just to have him for this period of time until this contract came up, and they'd be like, "Yeah, we can't pay you this amount that you're worth on the market, because in some ways this is not exactly what we had planned to do." So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all works out, and we could be very surprised and pleasantly surprised. I'd love for Gary to stay a Raptor, but I don't want to overpay for him, because I feel like the things that he does in some ways can be given to us by other players in the league also. And I don't think he's the most essential Raptor to have in some ways. Let's see. Monique saying last night was probably the second best Raptors tonight in my books. Congratulations to Nick Nurse as well. Not many are talking about that on his most wins. Yeah, we should talk about this too, and note this. That listen, Nick Nurse got his 200th coaching victory in the NBA last night. The first, he's this. I don't know if he's the fastest to 200. He probably isn't, but he's got 200 wins as of last night. He finally got his 200 win, and that's the crazy thing. In that open gym segment where they're throwing the water bottles at him, Pascal, there's also a part where Fred has the game ball, and he's like, "We would give this to you, coach, but we have to give it to him." And they give the ball to Pascal because of the 50-point win, and Nick Nurse completely understands. But in some ways, if Pascal had not scored 50 points last night, they would have been giving the game ball to Nick Nurse for getting his 200th coaching victory in the NBA. And, that is getting overshadowed a bit by Siakam. But in some ways, I bet you Nick wouldn't have it any other way. He doesn't give a shit. 200 is just 200. Maybe he'll get to celebrate 250 in an even better, cooler way than 200. But he's probably going to remember how long it took for him to get his 200th NBA victory, and just the struggle and how sweet it was. That is very memorable to get it in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks on a night when Pascal Siakam scored 52 points. So he didn't get the game ball for his 200th coaching victory because it went to Pascal, and rightfully so. So yeah, and the Raptors tonight, I actually did watch it. I normally don't watch it before I do the stream, but I did watch it, and the mood was a lot better and light. Of course, they're not together; they're on Zoom talking to each other, and there's no live chat because they don't film it that way. When they do it that way, they just film it and then they put it up, and then you have to comment in the comment section, but there won't be any live chat like on here. So, but yeah, it was good to see those guys happy and, waxing about Pascal's performance and just where it stands in the annals of history, and like why it is so important and signifies something, because it does matter. That building matters. And when you get 50 points in that building, it is a big deal. It's not like something to poo-poo. It is something. It's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. Historically, I remember in the 90s when I was younger, seeing Jordan going for 50 in the Garden, the way the NBA marketed that and went crazy about Michael Jordan scored 50 in Madison Square Garden. That, it's that kind of shit. It really is important. Logical saying, not gonna lie, Fred didn't say that. He said, I thought he could get to 50 and didn't even think about it, the 54, until he was at 52. If you're talking about the post on court interview, Lex, I listened to his interview. I know exactly what he said. He said he was helping him to get to 50, but then when he saw him at 52, he held the ball and did not give it to him at the end of the game on purpose. That is what Fred said. Seriously, he did say, he's like, I don't want him to get my record yet. And I'm not trying to paint Fred as selfish. It's just kind of like fun and games between the guys, kind of like sunning each other. It's kind of like, he's like, oh, if you're going to get my record, you're going to have to work harder. And he's like, you're not totally there yet, is kind of what he was saying. He was joking. But like, also he did, honestly, I think he did hold the ball at the end and wouldn't let him try and get to tie him or whatever. But it's all stupid fun and games. He's going to beat Fred's record at some point. I really do believe that. And there wasn't any kind of animosity or weirdness, but he did admit he was holding the ball from him at the very end just so he wouldn't tie him. Starscream saying, Lex, you don't have DeMar in the top 5 Raptors? Oh, yeah, no, DeMar's in the top 5. My top 5 are Pascal, Kyle, DeMar, Fred, and Vince. Those are my top 5 Raptors of all time. Those are my top 5. Vince is 5. Kawhi, I could argue Kawhi or Vince at 5, like either one, but it depends on the day. Sometimes I'm more like Kawhi. Kawhi's 5 or Vince is 5. I don't know. But definitely, I think I'm going to put Pascal number 1. I think that I'm going to start saying he's the GOAT just because of last night and different things. He won a championship just like Lowry. And in some ways, like Pascal is the GOAT. He's the greatest Raptor of all time. I'm going to start arguing that to a degree with in some spaces. And there's a good argument to be made that backs it up. Yeah, DeMar's like 3rd or 4th. He is definitely in my top 5 for sure. Alistair's saying Pascal deserves better. Get him some help. He's got help. They just got to step up and be more consistent. Scottie can be more consistent. OG can score a little bit more. Fred was better last night, more consistent. You know, there's a lot of role guys. Like when Precious comes back, just think about him added to the whole mix. Gary Trent, if he's still on our team, if he can be more consistent, the stuff is there to help him and support him. But he really did have to carry last night. He really did. Logical saying the whole time Spicy and Fred have been together, Fred has always known and said Spicy was the better player. The guys talk when Lowry left. Who explained it? Fred. He was saying Spicy is the guy. Not gonna lie. No, I listen, Mike. I think you're misconstruing what I'm trying to say. Those guys are best friends. They came up together. They were in 905. They came in the same draft year. They are very, very close. And really, what you see with Fred in picking and saying what he's saying is just part of that friendship. That there's nothing wrong with it. You saw how much Fred hugged him at the end of the game. And I'm just pointing out some of the fun, like the kind of things like Fred's just being feisty and saying, yeah, I didn't want to try and help him get my record and stuff like that. But they're very close, and there's nothing weird there. Monique is saying, hell no to the T word, Lex. See, it's real quick how things can change day to day. It's like, do we want to tank still anymore? I don't think so. I don't think we should tank. Not after Pascal did that. I don't think teams that tank have players that score 50 points in Madison Square Garden. No, I don't think they do. That teams that tank do that. They don't. They just don't. Good teams get 50-point games in Madison Square Garden. Space Cadet saying we would have won that game handily if Barnes provided anything or was even average. I don't mind the offensive struggles, but he doesn't box out or give full effort on defense. Need more from him. Well, he has lapses of attention that where he gets kind of like caught in no man's land, or he's not totally tuned in, paid attention in the right way. I'll agree with that, but he is also very active on defense and doing a lot of good things. It's just he gets beat by like vet savvy, and he also, like I said, he can get distracted by something and like maybe think that this is what he's supposed to do. But once again, he's still learning his MO for how he's going to operate on the court in a way that's the most effective to be making the winning play the most often. That's all he thinks about is like, what is the next winning play in this next second? Oh, go get this rebound. Oh, okay, box this person out. And that's the whole way that he builds his game. Well, sometimes he doesn't hit those beats. It could be very much like Guitar Hero, and that you got to catch them in the rhythm of the game as they're coming at you. And if you don't hit that beat exactly right, then it kind of fucks you up for the next beat also, because you want to get that rhythm of hitting the beats of winning plays throughout the game. So think about it that way. This guy's playing Guitar Hero. Then if he misses a couple of beats initially, it's hard for him to get back on the rhythm of the actual game that he's trying to play at that time. And once again, I'm going to give him all the allowances in the world. I wish everybody would stop being so critical and judging him, that he is 21 years old. He is a rookie of the year, an amazing player. And we have expectations for him, but we need to allow him to grow in the way he should. A sophomore slump is very much a real thing, and it is something that is occurring. And like I said earlier, it's happening to Evan Mobley too. It's happening to Franz Wagner from game to game also. They're not every single game they come out and they score almost 30 points, all these guys. They have games where they only score 6 points and get like 4 rebounds. There's games like this for all these guys from the rookie class last year. And if you want to compare him, you couldn't compare him to what Evan Mobley's doing. Compare him to what Franz is doing. I would say Cade too, but he's hurt. And there's no point. And they're doing the same things. They're having the same kind of struggles with their game this year too. So, all right, let's keep going. I already call Pascal GROAT number 2 at the end of the season. He can become GROAT, and Kyle becomes GROAT number 2. In some ways, it's just that the accolades for Pascal are on a whole other level. Kyle was never all NBA for us. Kyle, I'm telling you, there's some stuff. Kyle did amazing things, and we look at him because he's a figurehead leader and really a big part of our culture building in the last decade, that we give him a lot of credit for that. But if we're going to really look at like individual statistics and dominance and the way that like Kawhi was in the 1 year he was here, Pascal is that happy medium of all of them. That he's a little bit of what Kawhi did. He's a little bit of what Kyle does. He's a little bit of what Fred does. He's a little bit of what DeMar does. And sure, sprinkle in a little bit of Vince also. That Pascal may be the GROAT at this point after last night. Country Kong saying 52 by himself, and the other team had 106. Pascal's on a completely other level now. I haven't seen him this good since 2019, 2020. His jumper seems greatly improved, and his finishes have been breathtaking. If he's on and he's feeling it like he was last night, they just look so beautiful. The teardrops, the way he kind of carves the defense and like gets room. He manufactures room for himself in all kinds of different ways. He could be very much, I'm going towards the basket and spin around you kind of ways to make room. But he could also like, I'm going to act like I'm coming towards you, but then I'll step back real quick and boom, I'm shooting it over you. So he's really good at making room for himself, and he's gotten really good with his touch. And like, that's the thing. His shot's got to be going in, and then it'll look like what happened last night. But there's a lot of teams that agitate him and mess up his shot with contact. And part of it is maybe New York was just not able to get to him and smack him around quick enough to make him agitate his shot. And I love that. I love that. I love to see him cleanly getting out there and getting the shots easy, and then just seeing such a beautiful swish. The way the ball goes through the basket when he's shooting is just so beautiful. Logical saying, I think Fred is really misunderstood, and seems like Fred's bias only is because there's all these false truths around Fred. Fred isn't perfect and can't do a number of things, but the things he can do is win. Yeah, yeah. I'm a big Fred supporter. Trust me. I'm not anti-Fred in any kind of way. I really do stand up for him. And like when I met him in person, I said, Fred, we believe in you. You have to keep shooting no matter what. I don't care if you miss 10, 15 of your shots. You're going to make that last shot by the end of the game. And that's going to be the one that really matters. And I said that to him. I said, shooters got to shoot. And I know that about you. And this, I told him this in like the summer of 2018 before the championship year. That he had slumped a bit at the end of the year before. And I said, Fred, we believe in you. We're so happy that you re-signed with us. And I said to him personally, to his face, I said, I believe in you. Even if you miss a whole bunch of shots, you're going to make them eventually. And he had this big smile on his face. He said, oh, man, you're a real one. I appreciate you so much. And he gave me a big hug. You know, he is misunderstood. You're right. He's a hard-nosed guy. He's a sensitive dude also, and he's fiery. And he does have a lot of like, dog in him that is like, people have slighted me and underestimated me and made me feel like I'm not good enough for all my life. And that this is part of my character and who I am. And some people read that as cockiness, but no, this is just what he needed to swagger that he needed to carry to survive and thrive in the NBA. If he was nothing less than that kind of swagger and mentality in his head, he would not have done anything he's done. He would have just been mediocre and gone away. That's the thing. He is exactly who he is because he had to be that person to get to where he is at this point. And I respect and love him for it. So, Mike, I'm a huge stand for Fred. Don't worry about it. That's why I'm saying I'm going to unfollow that girl on Twitter after this because I'm sick of her sullying him, calling him a midget. It's disrespectful and it's wrong. Let's see. Randolph saying, Alex, every time Pascal scored 20 plus in the first half of a game, it appeared as if he would score 50 plus. You often talk about him disappearing. He kept it up last night. Yes, this was so good and so happy about this. I think he realizes this, like in games recently, how close they were, that he understands where I could have added just a little bit more at different places in the game instead of disappearing. That could have really helped the team. And he definitely did not disappear last night. We saw consistent scoring in all four quarters. In fact, in the two middle quarters of the game, he scored like 17 points in the second and 17 points in the third. That really is carrying the team through the meat of the game. In fact, we saw him do like scoring scoring periods where he scored all the Raptors points for like 5 or 6 minutes. And he had like the Matt Devlin would say Pascal scored the last 17 points for the Raptors on the court. And I'm like, holy shit, he really is taking over and dominating and just making it all go through him. And I like that. And you know what, you're right. There's been times where he could score 20 points in the first half, and then he doesn't do jack shit in the second half, and he ends up with like 26 points for the game. There's been a lot of that this year. Maybe he's noticed that, and that's part of why he's saying, okay, I got to be more aggressive throughout the whole 48 minutes and really, really carry us. And that's what he did last night, Randolph, for sure. He did not disappear at all. Starscream saying the New York papers will never focus on the Nets. The Knicks are the whole city's team, and honestly, nobody outside of Brooklyn and former New Jersey Nets fans care about the Nets. See, that's disappointing and that's sad. In some ways, y'all have been a dumpster fire, and it's hard to be a fan of y'all's team in recent years, but not now. Like, listen, we have a lot of Brooklyn Nets fans here in Toronto. It's actually really crazy how many people I'll see wearing Nets stuff around Toronto. I feel like they're people that are rebels that like kind of hate Toronto. And then when Masai Ujiri came out and said "fuck Brooklyn," they were like, "Oh, you're gonna say fuck Brooklyn?" And they started buying Nets stuff. And listen, I've been on buses out in Scarborough with people wearing Nets fans, and I've been wearing my Raptors stuff, and I'm about to throw down in a Scarborough bus in the middle of Toronto because these people are like so pissed that Masai said "fuck Brooklyn." I can see that phenomena happening in the New York media. The Knicks have historic; they've been around forever, and that there's no way. Like in some ways, you're like the Clippers in that market with the Lakers, that you can't win with the media or the spotlight or anything like that. Like you have some things in your favor. You do really have a better team. You have Jay-Z involved in your team. You have a cool kind of look and motif. I really like the black and white stuff. I think it's kind of interesting in the way that everything else in the league is so colorful that y'all's team is very kind of subdued like that. And you can add color to it and make it really interesting. There's a lot to it. And I have way more respect for Brooklyn than I do the Knicks, obviously. Historically, they've just been better team than the Knicks in recent past. But when the Knicks are doing well, of course, they're going to overshadow everything in that city, and even the other sports, because people are so dying for the Knicks to be good. So dying for the Knicks to be good. Fun guy saying Scottie's regression makes no sense. Laugh out loud. He's got to box out, and he's just got to watch the ball around the rim. He's got to jump for the rebound, and even defensively, he stands there watching guys tip the ball back in. I mean, there's no explaining it exactly what's going on in his head or why there's lapses of judgment or mess ups or stuff like that. We don't know what's going on exactly in his head or the reasoning why this would happen. If he was twitching more often, he hasn't twitched in 2 months. We could ask him and say, "What the fuck's going on with you, Scott? What's going on?" In fact, I got my Twitch stats yesterday. Like the Twitch has come out with all their year-end stats for how much you watched, and I got my stats yesterday, and I spent 137 hours of my year this year watching Scottie Barnes play video games on Twitch. And Tom and Isaac, they were coming with their numbers, and they were like 40, 30 something. 137 hours of Raptor Freak on Twitch with Scottie this year. 6 months subscription. They had all the message numbers. I had like 8,000 messages towards Scottie on there in the chat with everybody. It was really interesting to see. But if we could talk to him, if I could actually get in there and ask him, and he may actually reveal what's going on with him and why things are so different this year compared to last year. It'd be very interesting to get in there with him. This is the kind of thing where it may be an off-season phenomenon with him. I don't know if he'll come back to Twitch. He may not want to do Twitch anymore, but he may have outgrown it already. But if he does come back next year, we can get a lot of these questions answered next year. We may just have to wait until the summer. Because I don't know if he's going to do a whole lot of Twitch for the rest of the season. He really shouldn't. It's a bad distraction, and it could open up all kinds of fucked up shit if he gets on there and he lets fans have direct access to him and talking to him, especially the way he's slumping. And we don't want him to be like, judged or come at by people that are idiots, other fan nations, and talking shit to him directly to him while he's playing a video game. So I'm glad he's not on Twitch right now, even though I miss hanging out with him and talking to him through there, because he would straight up answer it. He's like, "Guys, you don't understand. They're doing this to me different this year, or I've had this like nagging little problem for a while this whole season, or it could be something like my focus is different now, or they have me trying to do harder things that I'm not totally comfortable doing. He could tell us any of those kind of things straight from his mouth, and then it would illuminate a lot of the speculation that people are having about why Scottie's this year this way. It's really what Leo's saying. We just need to listen to Leo Routens and say he's a young player, he's developing, and there's ups and downs. That's all that it is right now. But it'd be fun to talk to him and actually get it from his mouth and hear what he actually has to say about it from him. Mike's saying, I called Gary Trent turning the option down in the summer, and he's looking for a starter bag. So like 23 to 25 million. Yeah. I heard that it's going to be over 20. Well, this is normal for this kind of thing. He's played well enough to get a better deal, and he don't want to keep going with this contract. He wants more money. Of course, he's going to do it this way, and it was pretty much expected. And it's not even a slight towards the Raptors or that he doesn't want to play for us. It's just that he's doing what's best for him financially, and that makes sense. Lolita's saying 7-game winning streak coming soon. Let's go Raptors. I love it. I love the sound of that, Lolita, and I really hope you're right. David's here. Good to see David Saborin, trivia leader for Raptor Freak Trivia. Logical Raptors fanatic. The whole world knew he was going to decline his player option, even in the summer. I think 85 million for 4 years with a PO would be a decent contract. Okay, you don't mind giving him that money. So David's on the Gary Trent board. He's 85 million for 4 years. So that would be 20, like 21, 22 million a year with a PO. I'm not sure what the PO is. A PO box? I don't know. But yeah, David thinks he's worth that. I don't get lumped in with the money. I let Bobby deal with all that, and I just say, "Oh, this is who's on our team." We go with that. But they'll figure it out what way it's supposed to be. Raymond's saying at Fun Guy, fact is with Scottie, some nights you'll get an all-star rookie of the year, Scottie, and some nights you get all-star clutch challenge, Scottie. He's talking about the shooting skills, Scottie, not being able to make any shots. And there's some truth to that. There's the different levels of play. 29 points and 18 rebounds in one game, and then 2 points and 5 rebounds in another. It's just the ups and downs of a young player in the NBA. G saying Siakam's year stats: 26 points per game, 8 rebounds, 6.8 assists. You know, his stats are really good, and they're like crazy good. They're like Luka Doncic kind of stats, and that's why he needs to be getting the shine for sure. And it was mind blowing. It's crazy. Like, what Siakam's doing with his production. Monique saying, has Stephen A. Smith gone off yet? Laugh out loud. Go Raptors. He was talking a lot of trash up for the Knicks recently, saying all kinds of crazy stuff. Stephen A. Smith, I think he's involved in wrestling now all of a sudden too. I don't know. That dude's such a sideshow. I don't pay attention to him. But if he says, sometimes he says stuff and that gets back to me and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's Stephen A. being Stephen A. That's just what it is. Okay, logical Raptors fanatic saying, David, fair. It was pretty straightforward. With money, you got to be clear. Similar to Fred VanVleet contract he's on now, but spike adjusted come out to less cap space, taken percentage, and technical is less valued used. Okay. So once again, Mike, it's really hard for me to read it out. So you know what? You should proofread, read it, and see if it makes sense. I don't know exactly what you're meaning exactly. I think in just general, this situation that Gary's in is normal for like NBA players to just opt out. That anybody would do it on any team in this situation. And it's not anything special. This says something about Gary and his relationship with the Raptors. This is just the normal kind of thing with these contract beats that, that this would happen. Lolita saying, I just love to see OG smiling. So happy for Siakam. True brothers. I love the Raptors. Go Raptors. Yeah, just don't hurt him, OG. Throwing them water bottles at him. It's so crazy. So crazy. Just whipping those water bottles at him. Like, do you know that hurts, right, OG? David saying, for me, it's not so much Pascal scored 52, but how he scored it. His drives to the net, his shots from distance, even his passes all look way less forced than usual. It was weird to see Scottie out in the fourth. Yeah, Scottie did get in for a little bit in the fourth, but him being on the bench in crunch time late, that's good for him. Trust me. In some ways, playing at the end of the game is a reward. And if you don't play well enough throughout the game, you should not be allowed to play. And this should be just the normal standard. And in fact, I commend Nick for doing this. In the past, he would have left Scottie out there in a bad game and just let him play still because he wanted to go with the premium talent of the team. And he said that this is a big change because this will actually help Scottie and motivate him because he'll understand, okay, if I want to be in crunch time and get to play, I have to play at a better quality of play overall during the game. And then Malachi really did earn it, and it worked out really well. In fact, I think maybe if he had forced playing Scottie late in the game, we may not have won the game last night. That it's really smart that Nick does this, that he really pays attention to who's playing well in the game for that particular night. And these are the people who should be playing late in the game. That this is something most basketball coaches do. They don't have a standard set like five that they're okay. This is my most talented. I'm going to play at the end of the game with them no matter what. They really analyze during the game who's been playing well, and they give that time to that player at the end. This is why Chris Boucher gets to play at the end of the game so often for our team, is because he does really good during the game, and Nick cannot but play him. He can't bench him at the end because he's just playing so well. So it's that kind of thing. You reward these guys. This gives an enticement to the guys off the bench too, because they know if they kick so much ass in the game that they can get crunch time minutes also. So it is a really a reward. And taking it away from Scottie, taking it away from Koloko recently really does motivate these young guys to be better, to get those spots because they see it. They're sitting on the bench. They're watching the last 5 minutes and they're like, whoa, I wish I was out there right now. Well, play better and you will be next game, maybe. That's how you got to do it. Let's see. Space Cadet saying, can't stand people who slander people by calling them midgets or whatnot. They're the worst. It's just a sign of immaturity. First of all, that is a slur. It's a very bad term. For a short person is not a nice thing to say on the average. But in one area, it is okay to use, and that's in the pro wrestling world. In fact, the little people that wrestle, they want to be called midgets. That's why I haven't struck that word completely from my vocabulary, because in some places it's not actually a slur, but it is in a lot of other places. And yeah, I don't like this either. I'm a tall person myself. And it is kind of sad the way that our team's going with Vision 6'9", that in some ways, like Fred says, he roots for the short guys like Malachi and him, because they really are the underdogs, and it's really hard for them to get more done in a world that's easier for 6'9" people in the NBA. And yeah, I really lost so much respect for this person on Twitter because in some ways I really like what they tweet, but the way that they go after Fred is just unnecessary, and in some ways is venomous and wrong. And that some of the people calling people that is really like not nice. And maybe I shouldn't use that word on here, but if I do, it'll have to do with wrestling, because there's actually little guys that wrestle that get mad if you don't call them that word. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's good in that profession, but everywhere else in the world, you should not use that word. It's a little person or a dwarf or whatever they're called, like that they like to be identified as. But yeah, that's a bad word, and people shouldn't use it in general. But if you're into wrestling and you're around little guys who wrestle, you can call them that. They don't mind. They want you to call them that. That's actually a badge of honor that you're called that in term if you're a wrestler. And they actually get really mad that they're trying to phase that term out in PC culture, because they're like, we are midgets and we want to be midgets because we wrestle and we're midget wrestlers, and they want to be called that. They don't want to, it's a weird phenomena. Let's see. Mike is saying, I was commenting on the fact that smart people have bad takes because they have low NBA development process IQ and they see things now but have no understanding why it's that way and how it's going to change later. Yeah, for sure. And some of it is just like having time accrued watching the NBA over long periods of time. You have to see the cycles of how the NBA goes through, how teams go through cycles of different eras, how they rebuild and they build, or they tear down, or how they get to the championship, or players' paths over the years. Like they're never a straight line very often. Hardly ever is there somebody who's just like, whoop, they just go straight on up their whole entire career. That's not very often. So it's very much a rocky up and down. Even Jordan had that kind of up and down. Everybody had that kind of up and down. Kobe Bryant, look at his early years in the NBA. Did his first 2 years in the NBA go exactly like how the rest of his career did? No, they did not. He was a single digit scorer as a rookie, and he was a bench player for his first couple years, and he did not blossom until like his third year in the NBA. Like he started going and just blew up. This could happen with Scottie. He could be similar to Kobe and have like a rough 2 first years in the league, and then boom, all of a sudden it's gangbusters. Look out. Let's see. G's saying Scottie was very happy for Pascal and was nice to see, even though he didn't play the fourth. Shows he cares about winning and being a good and supportive teammate. Yeah, when they showed the bench after Pascal would score in the fourth, he was one of the most animated people on the bench, clapping and just getting really excited for Pascal. Scottie, we know this from Twitch. He loves the NBA. He loves the stars. He loves the whole idea of it, like Joel Embiid, Luca, Kevin Durant. He loves this whole part of being a part of this at this point. In some ways, he gets starstruck. He does get a little starstruck when he has to play people like LeBron and Kevin Durant. And it's because these have been heroes of his as a kid growing up. It's got to be really surreal and weird. And sometimes pinch myself. It's like, holy crap, it's so hard to try and guard Joel Embiid, but I've been watching him on TV as a kid, and now I'm actually guarding him, and I have to deal with it. We don't understand the pressure and just how difficult things are. He's got a huge amount of talent, and things come easy to him and look like they came easy to him last year. So we had an expectation that everything would just be easy for him. Well, it's not the case. The NBA is very hard, and he's learning very hard stuff right now. And yeah, he's just very much loves the game of basketball, and he loves, he can appreciate a performance like last night with Pascal in context of people like Kobe, in context of LeBron James, of Michael Jordan, and really appreciate and understand how that compares. And that's a big part of it. He's a fan of the game, and he can be a fan on the court and on the bench of his own teammates. I'm a fun guy saying Pascal kind of abandoned the mid range, especially against the Celtics and more in the losing streak. He's got to know that's a bread and butter for him. If teams are packing the paint, he did that last night. Yeah, this is a great observation by Fun Guy. A lot of his good shots were mid range last night. Not too much like completely all threes and going straight to the basket, but mixing it up. Really keep them guessing, Pascal. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You're out there operating. It's like you're toying with them. You just go ahead and keep that going because it's fantastic. It's so fun to watch. And it's not even just Raptor fans that can watch the performance by Pascal last night. Other fans and Fan Nation can watch him and really appreciate the artistry and the skill and the talent of Pascal. Sue saying, I just voted for All Star. Thanks for the reminder, Mo. That's right. Go vote like Sue did. Go ahead and vote again. Vote again, Sue. Yeah, get in there and vote as often every day as you can, and especially on those 3 times days that are coming up. Monique saying, I'll say this about Eric Khoury, young, growing pains, and are going to be there. You can definitely see it. They'll make the playoffs, but how far he'll be looked at for that bright future for sure. Always with 905. The thing about the 905 coaching is not always that he's going to just stay there. He could coach the team for a couple years, but they really switch it in and out. They're going to want to get another young coach in there to get some time and get that experience also at some point. So, I don't know. Eric, I want to like him and I want to see him, but I don't think he's that successful right now. And it is what it is. He could really turn it around the second part of the season. So I won't give up on him yet. But I don't think that this first part of the season has been a success at all. And I really don't like the way our team's not competing correctly. There's something weird about the 905, and they're not like competing exactly right. So, and I'm not going to blame him completely. I think that the roster's not as talented as last year. It could have really helped if he'd had Koloko playing a lot. Kilimanjaro's here. What's wrong with Barnes? Dude is docile in the paint. He's a young kid, and sometimes I bet you he does just get overwhelmed with the situation and to a degree. It could be that he's just not totally like concentrating or focused on the right things at times. But yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot wrong with him. Just give him some time; he'll be fine. Dwayne saying Julius and Joel, 2 jugheads. Yeah, I mean, they're just funny the way they complain. And Julius Randle was very entertaining last night. I really enjoyed that. Logical saying, Mo, I felt about him. He's a quick learner. Khoury will be fine, in my opinion. He's finding his coaching self, but he'll be quick. Yeah, I hope he just gets respect. Like, I find that it may be hard for people to respect him. Like, are the referees respecting him? Are the players completely buying into what he's doing and giving him the best effort they possibly can? These are the things I'm worried about with him. Like, because you need to be a bit of a bombastic personality to be a good NBA coach, to be just a good coach in basketball in general. You have to fight for what you want. You have to fight for like getting your fairness on the court with the refs. And if you're too mousy, if you're too kind of like, kind of withdrawn or kind of like, we'll go with the flow kind of thing, it can be not very good. And that's what I'm worried about. Is like I don't know if he has the right personality for it. He may be too nice, is what I'm saying. Let's see. Kenny saying Nick took. Oh wait, hang on. I don't want to skip this one here. All right, fun guy saying, man, when I see Pascal and Fred broism, not a word. I just don't see how you trade Fred, despite many of us calling for it. The attachments are too strong. I personally wouldn't trade Fred, though I want to. Yeah, I don't want to trade anybody. I really don't. If Gary gets moved, so be it. But I don't really think that like OG, Pascal, and Fred need to go anywhere. Fred has his failings and he will mess up sometimes and not like make big shots to help us win. But often he will also. And we have to be ready to win and lose with him. And because more often than not, we win over history. We've seen this. So there's just been some failure in losing recently, and that's most fresh in people's minds, and that's why they're ready to ship him out of here, which is really folly. It's not smart. That he is very important, and I agree with Fun Guy that there is a strong connection, very important linkages. If we're worried about guys not passing well amongst each other, we want to keep the ones that have more time accrued. The most capable lineups we see on the court for the Raptors these days are the ones with Pascal, OG, and Fred, all three of them out there together. And then maybe they'll have like Thaddeus and Scottie, or maybe they'll have Malachi and Wancho. But at least when you have those three guys out there together, you have a wealth of like 5 years experience of all three of them playing together and really knowing each other very well. You don't want to throw that out. In some ways, there's a connection between Pascal, OG, and Fred that is really hard to build up again quickly, that you have already got time instilled in it and you want to continue to have it. You don't want to get rid of it. It's like Norman was a big deal to trade away because he had part of that also. Then when Norman went, I was like, this is tough because I really like the chemistry between him and Fred and the other guys. And that was one of the things we lost in that. So David's saying Eric Khoury is a genius. I haven't watched the 905 yet this season, but I know the selection process for this position and this franchise is a rigorous one. I'm sure he's the guy. I'm not going to dispute he's a genius. I mean, he has like astrophysical, like physics degrees, and like he's very smart. That's not the problem with him. There's a problem. I just want to know if he's got that dog. If he's got that kind of like, I will fucking cuss the referee out because this is wrong. I want to see him get pissed off in the middle of the game and maybe throw something, maybe get thrown out. I want to see him come at the ref like very angry. That's what I want to see. I think he's too mild-mannered. He's too Peter Parker and not enough Spider-Man. Let's put it that way. That's what I'll say. Ken A saying Nick took the game ball from Fred and gave it to Pascal. Yeah. Well, it was going to go to Nick. Nick had his 200th win as a coach in the NBA last night, but they had to give it to Pascal. Fun guy saying, I fully believe Pascal is the GOAT. MIP, most improved player, championship, 2 All-NBA, All-Star, G League champion, high Kawhi duo partner amongst all time. Yeah, the resume is there. And we may need to start saying this. And Kyle would not be slighted by this. I think that Kyle would be very proud to see one of the young guys underneath him that he loves so much come up and take that from him. In some ways, the GOAT should be playing for the team currently and not playing for the Miami Heat in some ways. So that's why I'm going to start saying Pascal's the GOAT. And Fun Guy's with me on that decision. Logical saying, my bad, Lex. Didn't hear this part. But there's this think happening where Raps fans believe Fred wants to be the guy because he doesn't pass and say Scottie is pressuring him to be more selfish because he's scared. Well, there's a lot of people speculating things about Fred. The whole reason why I don't like Robert Misovich and Pensair is because he started an article 2 years ago about Fred not signing autographs for players or for fans at a G League game. That Fred was not on the G League team. He was just there to watch the G League team. And a coach started all this bullshit saying Fred would ignored us and wouldn't take pictures with my players. Well, you don't know the whole story or why, or even if this is true. But Robert Misovich pushed this on blast, trying to make fans hate Fred at that point in time. It was really weird agenda. And I was like, dude, I'm blocking you and I have nothing to do with you in the future. And that really is the thing that pissed me off about him, is that he was slandering Fred and trying to turn our fan nation against him to want to trade him by saying he wasn't a good character person because he wouldn't take pictures and autographs with young people at a G League game. That is really like I fight against this all over the place, Mike. So I'm with you, man. I'm not part of the problem. Yeah, I'm with this. I don't believe the bullshit that they say Freddie and Scottie don't get along. I don't believe the bullshit that they say Freddie's too selfish and he has to take shots and he takes away from other guys. He is very much a team player. And when he steps up and takes shots, it's because we need him to in those moments. So yeah, we're on the same page, Mike. I think that maybe I said something earlier that wasn't totally clear, and you might have just misconstrued it a little bit. Monique saying, not sure if you've spoken about Rowan Sr.'s comments on Canada basketball. Did I miss something? No, I didn't say anything about Rowan Barrett. It was good to see him have an interview in the middle of the game with Kayla Gray. They had the game. The interview was kind of close to the court, and they started to play again. And Rowan had to step off the court all of a sudden in the middle of it. But yeah, it's just really cool to hear an update about Team Canada, Nick Nurse, and the great Canadian players in the league right now, just excelling and doing so many good things all over the place. Jamal Murray, SGA, Kelly Olnick. There's a lot of great players on Team Canada. They're kicking ass this year. There's a lot of talk about that some of the work that was done with Nick Nurse this summer on Team Canada is helping these young Canadians play even better in the NBA. Maybe it has partly to do with the Boilermakers and Zach Edey and Purdue doing so well right now. So there's it's really interesting interview with Rowan Barrett, RJ's dad. And of course, he's going to be there watching his son and also being around his coach for his Team Canada team. Also, Logical saying, didn't hear that part about the interview. I was talking about people thinking I'm biased toward Fred, just stating truths more because most people are misunderstanding him as a player and a person. Dude, I have no problem with you being biased for Fred. You should be. I think all of us should be biased for Fred, for Pascal, for OG, for Scottie, all of them. Biased in a way that we think the best of them and we fight the good fight and saying good things about them. Because there's so many people out there slandering. You're doing exactly the kind of work that I'm doing on this channel. You're just keeping up the good fight for our guys and their name in social media spaces. And that, you arguing against people that are putting down Fred is very, very good and effective. In fact, you're very good at it. And you bring up good points that people have to look at and understand for the whole picture. So I really do appreciate the fight you're doing in Project Truth, Mike. And especially with Fred. You can be a Fred stan all day. I am too. I'm with you on this. Cool Cat saying Pascal is very pro team and he tries very hard not to overpower to let others score. He said it himself. He can score way more, but he prefers team-oriented games, so he focuses on empowering others. Yeah, and part of what he did last night was he's sick of losing. So he wanted to ensure that they won for sure. And that's why he went above and beyond and scored so many points last night. He is not a selfish guy. He does not want to be taking all the shots. And, he did it last night just because he's sick of losing. He's like, fuck this. I'm going to carry us as much as I need to, as heavy as I do with the weight on my back. I'm going to do it and make sure we win no matter what. But he would love to lessen things more and allow other guys to step up and get the spotlight more. It's just that he wanted to ensure the win last night. And he very much did. Monique saying the other amazing thing about last night, the day before he posted his Pascal takes video, and then he went off like this. I know, Monique, it's weird that you brought this up because it occurred to me last night too. I was like, man, Pascal, maybe you need to post some of these weird videos in the morning like you did last night before the game. That you posted this thing in the hotel of you zipping up the thing I reacted to yesterday morning. And it really was like, listen, you need to listen to me. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go out and show you too on the court. I don't think that there's a coincidence with this, that he was very much setting up his game to do what he did last night by making that video, and that he had planned it all out. And hey, I wouldn't mind more videos if it's going to lead to more performances like this, for sure. Cool Cat saying Scottie is a cerebral player, experimented different roles, more responsibilities in a complex system, and 21-year-old attention span is very normal. Scottie's coach said patience, he's fine. Yeah, that Brian Macon, he knows what's going on with him. Just give it some time. The players on the inside know what's going on with him. They're not worried about him. They'd love to have him. It's like Fred said, I wouldn't trade him for Kevin Durant. Even today, in the way things are going right now, and I love that Aaron Rose has been saying this on his social media right now. All of you people that are stupid and saying we should have just took the Durant deal for Scottie this summer, you're stupid. That deal was never there. That deal was never the deal. You think we could get Kevin just for Scottie straight up? No. Scottie's salary is so much lower than Kevin's. We'd have to make up that money in a huge way with all kinds of other assets other than Scottie. So it's not even like the deal was ever realistic. So anybody who's out there saying we fucked up because we didn't take the Kevin Durant for Scottie Barnes deal this summer, they're idiots, because that realistically was never the deal. And Aaron Rose is very correctively putting out the right information on his channels by saying, you guys, that was never actually a deal. And y'all need to shut up with the woulda, coulda, shoulda about trading Scottie for Kevin when we could have had the chance last summer. That never was the deal. And that never realistically could have happened. We would have been giving up Gary and OG with Scottie also to make the money work for that deal. So it's like, it's so stupid when everybody says, oh, we failed when we didn't trade Scottie for Kevin. And then they're going to say the front office failed because of that. They're fucking idiots. You're failing at logic and understanding the reality of the NBA is what the reality is. It's not that the front office fucked up by not taking that deal at the time when they could have, because that deal didn't exist. And y'all just made it up in your head that magically you could trade Scottie Barnes for Kevin Durant straight up. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Aaron Rose, for clarifying this and making these people, letting them know that they're stupid for making this argument at this point. It's really, really dumb. Cool Cat saying it's a boost to Malachi's confidence where his hard work is being rewarded. It's all teachable moments for all the young players. Malachi's value increases also. Yeah, for sure. Really, really good to see Malachi getting some good time out there and just good stuff. And Monique saying, congratulations to Nick Nurse on 200 wins. Once again, no one remembers that. It's true. Nobody's going to talk about it or remember it's overshadowed by Pascal's performance. Logical saying we won and people want to slander Fred. Sorry. Comment replying to troll on the post-game Raps interview video and God, if Fred VanVleet is useless and Scottie is the best guy in the Logic spin cycle, I'm in a mood. Well, listen, Mike, be in a good mood because we won and the sun is shining today. The Raptors are on a winning side of things right now and enjoy that. We haven't got to enjoy that for a couple weeks now. So let's stay positive in the positive light of Pascal's fantastic performance last night. Fight the good fight and do Project Truth, but don't let it ruin your day. That's the whole thing. You can't let the energy of these idiots on social media ruin your day. It's just not worth it. Trust me. Let's see. And also Mike saying, facts, Cat. We had to rebuild this foundation from the Tampa year, and it's about time. And Monique is saying, www stream with the 5 Raptor lineup. Lex, after a game like this, go figure. Go Raptors, always keep at it. Thank you, Monique. And I appreciate everybody being here for 2.5 hours, reacting to a fantastic masterpiece by Pascal Siakam, 52 points in Madison Square Garden on the biggest stage in the NBA. Maybe they want to reconsider putting our game back on for next week against the Clippers on national television. They might want to see Pascal Siakam go up against Kawhi Leonard and really have that battle of boom. Who was the guy for the Raptors 2019 championship? Who is better at this point? I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's easily Kawhi. Well, he hasn't been playing a whole lot, and we've seen flashes of it. Could it be Pascal? And maybe you're missing out, NBA TV, by taking off the Toronto Raptors, taking on the Los Angeles Clippers here in Toronto next week off your schedule. Maybe you might regret it. Trust me. W's in the chat. It's what Tom Duke's saying. W stream. Thank you, Nameless. Great Lexathon. It's like it makes me think of like the hexathon or decathlon. The hexathon is like a 6 event thing, I guess. I don't know. Tom Duke's laughing. All right, guys. Have a great Thursday. You earned it. You have been true Raptor fans that have stuck through this team through a really bad, difficult time. And now we get the gold. We get the happiness. And we were real ones that rode through it with them. And now we really get to deserve it. So bask in it and enjoy it, y'all. We deserve it. And I hope y'all will please subscribe to my channel if you found it for the first time today. And like, comment, share, do whatever you want to do. If you love the Raptors like we do, you found the right place to come to every single morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be talking daily Raptors issues. Tomorrow, I'll have the preview for the Cleveland Cavaliers game on Friday night. Hopefully be a second win and starting a streak. But we'll talk about all of it The real mascot matchup is going to be interesting tomorrow. The referee crew check, of course, I'll have that for you. The latest news about our lineups and who possibly may be playing. And then also, I'll give you some keys to the win for the game tomorrow. So hopefully you'll join me once again tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Friday morning for a preview of our Cleveland Cavaliers game coming up. You go, Pascal Siakam. You go, OG, with your crazy ass whipping bottles at him. Hilarious stuff. We love you, Raptors. Thank you for giving us a win and giving some sunshine in the 416 once again. We believe in you. And listen, you guys can do no wrong. You fail, we love you. You succeed, we love you also. Because in the long run, we know we trust in Messiah and that our franchise is going to be good no matter what. We win when we lose, and we definitely win when we win. So y'all have a great day, and let's go Raptors!